they opened fire on them. They returned fire. We know that the officer who was killed was identified as Pradeep Tamang. He was just 25 years old. We have a lot more on who he was to the field, to the police department, as we talk to our assignment desk. We also know that there was a second officer involved, MPO David Reed. He remains in the hospital. We know he's in critical condition, but we also hear that he's stable, which is great news. We also know that the suspect involved in this shootout was also taken to the hospital. So again, we'll be checking in with our Fox 5 assignment desk on where we are in terms of that story, the details that we have for you. We'll check in with them in just a second. But we're also following some new developments from, remember that FBI raid out at the election office in Fulton County? Well, Fulton County officials want the matter to go to court. We know that 700 boxes of ballots were removed at the time. Still trying to figure out exactly why, what they're going to do with that information. We know that the Fulton County officials have already filed a motion. They're going to challenge the actions that were taken last week by federal authorities. So let's check in now with our assignment desk. We have Tanya Mendoza standing by for us. She'll be talking to us about what we are working on. Tanya, I know you got a lot on your plate, but what's in the news for the day?
Hi, how are you? We do have a lot on our plate. We're all still thawing out from this weekend's cold weather, but we're back and at it here on the assignment desk. And I'm just going to give you a little rundown of what the reporters are working on today. Larry Spruill is currently in Gwinnett County, outside Gwinnett County Police headquarters, where there is a memorial set up right now with the officer that unfortunately passed away after this shooting at an extended stay hotel over the weekend. Officer Pradeep Tamang, 25 years old. He's originally from Nepal, and his family is in Pennsylvania, is what we heard over the weekend from the police chief. But he moved to the United States 10 years ago. His family and fiance are currently traveling from Pennsylvania to Georgia. Larry is outside police headquarters, where there is a police car outside. It's actually his police car out there, and people are placing flowers, paying their respects to him and to the entire department right now, as they're holding him and others near and dear to their heart after the horrific shooting. I do want to talk a little more about this because we're still trying to get details. We do know that the suspect in this case, Kevin Andrews of Decatur, is currently hospitalized and in stable condition with non-life-threatening injuries. He is expected at some point to go to court. We have not confirmed whether that is happening tomorrow, but that's what we're trying to work on right now. And Larry is out there. He'll have much more on that later today. Also today, you mentioned we have Kevin Stewart and Deidre Dukes. They're doing team coverage on the follow-up on the FBI raid of the Fulton Elections Hub last week. So right now, we have Kevin Stewart in Fulton County, and he is trying to talk to Commissioner Marvin Arrington Jr., who this morning announced that he will be filing a legal challenge today against the federal government following last week's raid of the FBI election, the Fulton County election headquarters. That was last week. Deidre is at the state capitol, where Democratic state legislatures held a press conference to talk about this. She is also going to speak to a Republican state senator and get his side of it. We'll have more on that later. I do want to mention another story that we have Tara Jabor working on. Tara is talking, she's here in the newsroom actually, and she's following closely the trial from the 2001 killing of a University of Georgia law student, Tara Baker. This was a cold case for a long time, and as you can recall, I think over a year ago, Edric Faust was arrested in connection to that case. So Tara's following the trial closely. It started today, and we're hoping to have updates for you on that in later streams and later newscasts. One other thing happening is that we flew our helicopter over a 12-inch water main line that was broken in DeKalb County near Covington Highway and Wellborn Road. As you can see right there, the video, the intersection is blocked off. DeKalb County officials have said that some customers' water service may be interrupted because of this. Looks pretty bad if you're looking at the images right there. And it's cold out there. So those people working on that, it looks like they have a long day going on for them in those repairs. And we're hoping that we'll have an update on that in later newscasts as well.
Yeah,
Do you
no
have
doubt.
any other questions for me?
I do. Actually, again, you brought us a lot, and I know you are working on a lot, so I hope I have a couple of more minutes with you. But let's go back over some of the things you said. For example, you told us that Larry was going to be working on the two officers' developments, with that story. Do we know when they started the memorials on that car? Did that just start this morning, or did they start later last night? Any idea?
I am not 100% sure, but I do know that when I woke up this morning and watched Mark Teichner on Good Day Atlanta, he was out there covering it. I also know that they actually spoke to another police officer's wife who stopped by and paid her respects this morning. So the community is really kind of heading out there and showing their respects for this officer.
Yeah.
This morning and throughout the day. So yeah, that is happening right now, and Larry's going to have an update on it later.
Tanya, I was telling our audience this yesterday when we first had heard that this happened. Of course, you never want to hear about a death, let alone one of our law enforcement officers. But one thing that I said I was looking forward to seeing was how the community would come together. That's been a beautiful thing that we tend to see after these horrifying incidents like this happen. People will line the streets when they're coming up on the funeral procession and, showing their support for the family, for the friends of these people. So it is cool to see that they've got the car out there where they're starting to place those flowers and I'm assuming cards and whatnot. So looking forward to seeing that too. And then I know as well with Tara Baker, we were on that story a little earlier at the 11 a.m. Trying to see where Tara Jabor will take the story next. Any ideas? I don't know if you've had some chance to listen in to those opening arguments. We had just a few minutes at the 11 to listen in.
Yeah, I was not listening in on it because, as you can tell here, we always are busy. The scanners are on, the phones are ringing off the hook, and we have constant interruptions. But hey, that's what we sign up for. What I will say is, in my back and forth monitoring the pool feed and it coming in and trying to relay information to our digital content creators and talking to Tara, it seemed like there was some sort of delay this morning. It didn't start immediately. At one point, someone said to us that there may have been some of the jurors that arrived late, maybe up to 4 jurors arrived late. So we were trying to just hash that out. And fortunately, it all started and we're all good.
All right, well, that's good to hear. Again, thank you so much for staying on top of it. I'll let you get back to what you do, because we know we have so many more stories to bring you all later on this evening. Tanya, thanks. All right, Tanya was talking to us about that water main break, so I want to get back into it because there are some details that we have to share with you on that. The DeKalb County Department of Watershed Management crews are currently working on that scene there. They're trying to repair a 12-inch broken water main, and I mean, from the looks of it, they're probably going to be out there for quite some time. That hole is huge. This is all near the intersection of Covington Highway and Wellborn Road. Customers in the area may be experiencing some intermittent issues with their water, some interruption of water service, of course, due to that damaged water line. Traffic controls are in place because obviously you're not going anywhere on that road. So we probably have some detours that we can tell you about if you do need to get around to go wherever it is you're trying to get to. Drivers are asked to avoid the area if possible in order to make sure that there won't be that many traffic delays for everybody else who lives in the area. Also want to talk to you about the partial government shutdown because, I mean, with all the stuff that we've been talking about with weather, maybe you didn't hear that this was happening. Yeah, the government is looking at a chance for another another government shutdown. Right now, it's just partial. House Democrats are refusing to back a deal that was negotiated in the Senate just last week to pass new spending bills. Despite a bipartisan deal in the Senate last week, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, says that a lot of the Democrats in the House cannot necessarily be trusted in order to try to bring this to a close, fund the government, keep things open, even as the week begins with some federal agencies already out of money. We also know that protests are still underway in Minneapolis and Minnesota. House Democrats say that that makes them feel even more emboldened to stand their ground. They want to stand 10 toes down on this. It's at a risk of continuing an extended government shutdown. They say the bigger issue that they're looking at there is they want some sense of control or, want to go back in on some of the policies that ICE follows. And so right now, it stands that deal would fund the Department of Homeland Security. The Department of Homeland Security, of course, funds ICE. So they say if they can hold off for just a little while longer, maybe even just for 2 weeks, they want to keep the talks going and seeing how they can try to either limit the amount of money going to the Department of Homeland Security or try to control how ICE operates in terms of wearing masks while they're out in the field, identifying themselves when they're trying to make an arrest, things like that. And today is Groundhog Day, so we know that there are some pretty famous groundhogs all around the United States. Punxsutawney Phil, that's the groundhog that I know very well, did see his shadow, went back in. So that means for us, we're going to have a couple more weeks of winter. Probably not what you wanted to hear. I'm so sorry, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. We also know we have some groundhogs here in Georgia. It was pretty exciting to see them get out. We have General Beauregard Bo Lee, who also saw his shadow, and then we have, I believe his name is Yona. He did not see his shadow, but he's also new to this. I believe this was his debut, so can we trust it? I don't know. But from what the groundhogs say, we have a little more time with the winter weather. Going to check in with our meteorologists to see how they feel about all of this. Were they right? Were they wrong? Not so sure. But, again, told you that we do have some groundhogs here in Georgia. We know that our Paul Milliken went out all the way out to Jackson, Georgia to see how things were going down there. Let's pop in with him and see how that celebration went on.
Well, look, as a TV personality, I'm used to getting hate mail from time to time. But right now, let me tell you who the most hated man in Georgia is. Well, he's not really a man. He's a groundhog. He's in that log right there hiding. I'm getting a lot of very angry messages for Bo right now. Bo the groundhog popped out early this morning. And guess what? He saw his shadow. Ike English, what does that mean?
6 more weeks of winter.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
It's already been rough.
Past 3 weekends, winter precip. Yeah, I'm ready for all this.
I think we all are for sure. So, of course, you are the director of Dawson Trails Nature Center, and you are known for your Groundhog Day celebration. How did this morning go?
I think it went well.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great crowd being Monday and very, very, very frigid cold. So
Yes.
great. I can't complain. I'm so thankful that people came out and supported us.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about what happened. So you got the whole crowd here, you've got families all excited, and then you give the official proclamation.
Yep, and we've got people with birthdays that are very proud that they're born on Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
We've got people with anniversaries. I think we had 2 couples with anniversaries today, so that's awesome. People get fired up, and we're in the doldrums of winter right now. We need a smile and a laugh.
Yes.
So we got to do stuff like this.
I could not agree more. Let's talk for a minute about Dawson Trails Nature Center. This is really such a gem down here in Butts County.
Yeah, we're a private nonprofit. We are located right between Indian Springs and High Falls State Parks. We've got about 2,000 acres. We're known for our animals, but we also have over 35 miles of hiking and mountain bike trails.
Yeah, and then you've got great festivals throughout the year.
We've got in April, we've got our Bluebirds and Bluegrass Festival, and then we have our Syrup Festival in November, and then, of course, Groundhog Day, February 2nd.
Yeah, of course, the big one. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Bo himself. Now, earlier, while we were live on television, he was kind of rooting around and looking around on his property here. What was he doing?
Well, underneath all this pretty white beach sand, he has a system of tunnels.
Really?
Where he can get and explore down there, and lots of room to wiggle around. And but so he'll figure out where his entrance is, and he'll excavate it, and he'll be in there by this afternoon.
Wow, that is so interesting. So, all right. Well, unfortunately, Bo has spoken. It's not the news most of us wanted, but it's the news that we have to deal with. Ike English, this has been a blast. Thanks for letting us be here.
Anytime. Next year it'll be on February 2nd.
Wonderful. And well, was going to say next year. Thank you very much. We'll mark our calendars right now. Next year, can you make him have a different answer?
Well, I don't know.
That's the important thing.
Yeah, I can't control.
Bring some cloud cover in here, please. We don't want any shadows. And I'm just going to end with this. All right, Bo, you're in there. Now look at you. You are hiding your face from me. Come out, all right? Be a groundhog. Come out on television and have something to say for yourself. Can you? Can you? No, I knew it. What a chicken. He's going to stay in there and we're all going to freeze. 6 more weeks of winter.
I did not have Paul Milliken threatening a groundhog on my 2026 bingo card, but here we are, guys. Here we are. All right, still ahead, we have so much to talk to you about what's happening here. We know that this summer, we're going to get the FIFA World Cup. It's a pretty big deal for the city of Atlanta. I want to bring you out to an interview that we had where we're getting a little trivia. What's going to happen when the FIFA World Cup comes on over? We'll have that when we come back. Hey guys, welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I told you we have so much to get into this hour. You know, coming up this summer, we are going to be hosting the FIFA World Cup, which is a pretty big deal. First of all, throw a soccer emoji in the chat if you're a soccer fan. There are so many around the world, you guys. We know billions of people have been and will be watching how things kick off here in Atlanta, but really just here in America as FIFA brings itself here for, I think it's the first time. Well, our Natalie McCann sat down with an expert on all of this to tell us about what we can expect when the World Cup gets here. He also put her to the test, and I want to see if you guys know the answers to some of these questions.
Okay, so this is a big deal, and now we are getting very close. I mean, 130 plus days.
We're racing around the corner, the turn of the new year. I think Atlanta is going to be really, really ready by the time the World Cup comes. I just got news that the Centennial Olympic Park will be the host of the Fan Fest area. We're talking like 10, 15, 20,000 people every day watching games throughout the World Cup, and it's going to be free for fans there as well. We're 19 weeks from today. Can you tell I'm giddy with excitement?
I know you're so excited. I mean, this really puts Atlanta on a global stage, doesn't doesn't it?
I think the Olympics would have put Atlanta on the map, but now this is a different level. The World Cup is a different level altogether. From every corner of the globe, you're going to have people tuning in to watch their countries, the underdog, maybe the likes of Cape Verde coming to Atlanta for their first ever World Cup, or a favourite like Spain too. It's just so exciting what we're going to witness here in this city, with over 500,000 people coming to support their countries.
Oh my gosh, what are you hoping that fans will experience when they're coming here to Atlanta?
I hope the fans coming from afar will just experience the Southern hospitality first and foremost, that there's parties everywhere they go, that the city of Atlanta welcomes them in with open arms. And I hope the people here in Atlanta, whether you're a soccer fan or not, like you've said that you're not the biggest fan of soccer, but you're willing to learn, you're willing to get stuck in. And I think by the time the World Cup comes around, my job here on Fox with you guys in Good Day Atlanta is to make sure by the time the World Cup comes in 19 weeks that you're excited and raring to go.
Oh, you're hyping us up. Okay, so we talked about eight games, including a semifinal. So a lot of different countries that are already set, but a couple more will be coming out in March,
including a country called Ireland. I'm hoping Ireland play in March in a playoff.
Okay.
And I know the Irish community here is just buzzing and absolutely hoping that Ireland can go and get there.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But I want to get stuck in. I want to put you to the test here today.
Okay, yeah. Tell me, we're going to do a little test, aren't we?
Well, there's 7 countries confirmed that are absolutely coming to Atlanta right now.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you a little fact or sentence, okay? And let's see if you can tie it to the countries that we know are coming to Atlanta. So the 7 countries coming, there's some minnows, like the likes of Haiti and Cape Verde, and there's some big nations as well. So here's the first clue. This nation has made the World Cup for the very first time. It has a population of just over 500,000 people, so similar to the city limits here in Atlanta. It's the second smallest country by population to ever qualify for the FIFA World Cup. Their official language is Portuguese. Now let me give you the countries that are coming here, just so you have them. You've got Morocco, you've got Haiti, Uzbekistan, South Africa, Spain, Saudi Arabia, or Cabo Verde as they call it, Cape Verde.
I think it's going to be that one because I haven't really seen that one before.
Well done.
Am I right?
You got it, yes.
Okay, the other
Natalie's
one's
off to a flyer, guys.
Okay.
That's absolutely brilliant. Well done. So 1 for 1 so far, and their nickname is the Blue Sharks, a small island off the west coast of Africa. All right, let's go with the second one here for Natalie, shall we? This country pulled off arguably the biggest upset in World Cup history when they beat Lionel Messi and Argentina at the 2022 World Cup. That win, you do know?
Yeah, because my mom's from Argentina, so it's Saudi Arabia.
Well done. Yes, 2 for 2.
Okay, I knew that one.
Saudi Arabia.
Legit.
I was going to tell you, Cristiano Ronaldo plays his club soccer over in Saudi Arabia. The Green Falcons. So maybe a little tie in there to the city of Atlanta, the Green Falcons. So you are 2 for 2.
Okay.
You soccer expert. All right, here we go. In a number 3, let's see how Natalie does. This is a country that might very well be all taking a nap right about now. They're a country that love their siestas. Okay, World Cup champions in 2010, and now they're favourites to go all the way and win it here in 2026. They're going to play 2 group games in Atlanta, and all eyes will be on the best teenager on the planet, that is Lamine Yamal, who plays for Barcelona. What do you think?
What are my choices again?
Your choices are Uzbekistan, Spain, Haiti, South Africa, Morocco.
Spain.
3 for 3.
Spain.
3 for 3. There's no stopping Natalie now. All right, now you've got to.
More.
Come on, you've got to keep going now. All right, let's go. Here we go. You ready? This next country, this is one of only 2 countries in the world that is doubly landlocked, meaning that these folks need to go through 2 international borders just to get to the beach. Now, the last part of the country's name happens to also be slang for a really dedicated fan. They'll be making their World Cup debut. So your options there are Morocco, South Africa, Haiti, and Uzbekistan.
I don't know. Morocco?
Oh, no. Stan, I thought would be the clue there.
Oh, no.
Uzbekistan is the answer. Looking forward to seeing Uzbekistan, a country of about 37 million people. Uzbekistan making their World Cup debut. Their coach is an absolute legend of the game. Do we have time for a few more?
I think we have to go, but tell me real quick, which one of these are you most excited to see?
I'm excited to see Spain, but I'm also excited to see Haiti. There's a Haitian community here in the city of Atlanta that are great fun. They'll always bring the party. To see them back at the World Cup, they qualified without playing a single game in their home country due to political unrest there. Their people are wonderful, and they get to come here to a World Cup for the first time since 1974, and I think they're going to bring the party.
This was so much fun.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you so much for helping me get hyped up. Yeah, we can't wait. All right, thank you very much.
Natalie.
Yeah, that was fun watching. We know Natalie went for 3 for 4, which is 75%. We also know that Kevin put our Caitlin Pratt to the test as well. She also went 3 for 4. Listen, if you would have tested me, I probably would have failed. So it's good that we didn't get that chance. Still ahead, I want to talk to you about the weather. We know that there is a lot going on. It was super cold. We had some snow, ice in some areas this weekend. We'll be checking in with our meteorologist to see where we stand for today and the rest of the week ahead. We'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Judea Murray. Remember, we are covering so much. Let's get right back into our top headlines of the day. Remember, we are keeping up to date with those 2 Gwinnett County police officers who were shot. One of them we know killed in the line of duty. He was identified as Pradeep Tamang. A second officer, MPO David Reed, remains hospitalized at this point. He's in critical condition, but we have heard he is stable. This all happening after that shootout, which we learned also left a suspect injured. Another story to bring you guys. We know that Fulton County commissioners are filing a motion after that FBI raid at the election office. It was kind of a big deal, something we didn't all see coming. About 700 boxes worth of ballots, we heard, were removed from that office. For what purpose, we don't know just yet. But the Fulton County officials say they want this matter to go to court. So they filed a motion today in order to challenge the actions taken last week by federal authorities. So that's the latest that we have there on that. Don't know if you've heard about this, but earlier today, the Today Show started off without one of its beloved hosts, Savannah Guthrie. That's because we heard that her mom has gone missing, and officials out there in Arizona actually think that there may be something criminal about it. This morning, again, that Today Show began without her. She was in Tucson, Arizona, where her 84-year-old mother was reported missing over the weekend. Here's some of the details on it. During a news conference, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nano says that there were signs at the home indicating that Nancy Guthrie, her mother, did not leave on her own. So some people were wondering, well, how do you know that? She was 84 years old. Maybe she wandered off. Well, they say that Guthrie does have limited mobility, but she does not have any cognitive issues. He said that there were also some other things, some other pieces of evidence that they have that indicate that she did not leave on her own volition. So Nano said at a news conference Sunday night that Nancy Guthrie was last seen at around 9:30 p.m. on Saturday at her home out there in Arizona. Arizona. Her family reported her missing at around noon the same day. Searchers have been using drones, search dogs, trying to find her. So far, nothing has come up. Some search and rescue teams have also supported volunteers and Border Patrol and a homicide unit, all of them involved. Now, this is not standard procedure for homicide team to get involved in such cases like this, but I think it stands to show just how serious this matter is and how high profile of a case it must be. Sheriff says that he's not ruling out foul play. Here's part of what he said in a press conference earlier.
We saw some things at the home that were concerning to us. We believe now, after we process that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime. This is a 84-year-old lady who suffers from some physical ailments, has some physical challenges, is in need of medication that if she doesn't have in 24 hours, it could be fatal. She is very limited in her mobility, right? We know she didn't just walk out of there. That we know. There are other things at the scene that indicate there was she did not leave on her own. We know that.
All right, you guys, so yeah, they're still trying to look into this, figure out what exactly happened there. We know that Savannah has released her own statement. If you don't mind, I want to read it to you. It says, in part, on behalf of our family, I want to thank everyone for the thoughts, prayers, and messages of support. She says, right now, our focus remains on the safe return of our dear Nancy. Today's show, again, opened this morning without her because she was in Arizona, where she's becoming part of that investigation, trying to figure out where exactly her mother went and hoping that they can bring her home at some point in time. Nano said during the Monday news conference that Savannah would remain in Arizona while all this is going on. So I want to check in now because that was a trending story on Google. A lot of you guys are looking up what's happening with Savannah Guthrie, the Today Show. I want to check in with our digital content creator, Joyce Lupiani. And Joyce, I know you keep your ear to the ground with what people want to know about, what they're reading on our website. What's popping off right now?
Hey, Judea. So yes, there are a lot of people interested in whatever's going on with Savannah Guthrie's mother right now. There's definitely been people on our website all morning long since that story came out reading about that. Now, back here in Georgia, we had a couple of interesting stories over the weekend. I don't think you've mentioned them yet, and we haven't really done a lot of reporting on them, but people are very interested. We got a press release about these Georgia brothers who were sentenced to like 20 years in prison for stealing from the Georgia lottery. So apparently, they were going around to like 12 different counties between September 2021 and September 2024. And they stole money from like these video poker style machines. And like I said, they've been sentenced to 20 years in prison, plus they have to pay back like almost $90,000. That's actually like the most read story besides the police officers being shot on our website right now. Not really sure why people are so fascinated, but they definitely want to know about this pair of brothers. Oh, they were from Sparta, by the way, if you're familiar with that area. But people are definitely interested in what these brothers were doing. Other than that, Tanya had mentioned this trial that finally got underway this morning out in Athens. Edric Faust is on trial for killing Tara Baker like 20-something years ago, and he was arrested in 2023. I just wanted to mention that we are streaming that trial both on YouTube and Facebook, and we've had like hundreds of people watching this morning. So if you are interested in watching that trial, you can just go to our YouTube channel or on Facebook and watch it yourself. Other than that, there was another kind of weird story that happened over the weekend. There's a young rapper, I think she's like 19, 18, 19. I'm not really sure how old.
Yeah, she is 19. She's 19.
19. Okay, good. Aston Cartier, and she was arrested for animal cruelty. So it appears that she was on Twitch and she was live streaming, and she has like a 3-month-old puppy. And I'm not exactly sure what happened, but the Brookhaven police came and they arrested her like late Friday after like video of this abuse started circulating online. And I think we got information about it on Saturday, and once we posted it on the website, of course, people were super interested in that story too. Other than that, people are very, very interested in the Grammys and what people were wearing and saying. And yeah, that's pretty much it so far today.
I mean, Joyce, let's work backwards because, yes, people are talking about the Grammys. Amazing show last night, but I think one of the biggest things people keep touching on is Bad Bunny and how he kind of made a statement there about ICE. We know that the Super Bowl, where he's supposed to be the halftime performer, is coming up too. What's going to happen when he takes the big stage? I don't know. That's a big one.
Right? I'll be honest with you, Jadea. I did not watch it. I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to come here, go to work, and I have to drive like an hour, so I did not get to see it. But
I completely understand.
Right? So from what I understand, Bad Bunny made a statement about ICE, and there has been a lot of controversy about him being selected as the headliner for the Super Bowl. I'm not even going to go into all of that. Personally, I like him. I think it was a pretty good choice, but yeah, I guess some people were not real happy about whatever it was that he said about ICE last night, or maybe they were.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, it's going to get the people talking. And again, I wonder what's going to happen when we actually see the Super Bowl, because that tends to be a time where people make bigger statements, or sometimes they'll just announce an album. So yeah, we'll see. But another thing, in the very beginning, you were talking about those brothers with the lottery. Lottery aside, because I can understand why people like those kind of stories, those heist stories, even like the Louvre. Remember when that went viral? My biggest question, though, is when you are convicted of a crime and when they're telling you you have to pay money back, what if you can't pay the money? Like, what happens if you can't pay the money back? Do we know that?
I have no idea. It's like, right? How are you going to pay the money back if you're sitting in prison?
If you're sitting in prison, it's hard to get a job afterwards. But also, if I stole it, I probably didn't have it to begin with. So how am I going to make up? I don't know. These are the things I think about.
I have never understood that. And fortunately, I guess I've never had anybody that close to me that's had to do something like that. So I have no clue.
Yeah, Joyce and I keep our noses clean. So we got there on that.
Most of the time.
All right, thanks for going over what's trending today with us. Joyce, this was fun, so I want to get to do this another time. You guys, still ahead, we're going to talk to you about the weather forecast. We know that over this weekend, it was really snowy. In some places, it was icy. Even you guys started sending us your pictures and your videos showing us how you were weathering the storm. So it was a pretty big deal, especially areas in North Georgia hit extremely hard. We're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, I want to get together with our Alex Forbes, our meteorologist, to talk to you about what you can expect for the rest of the today and the rest of the week ahead. We'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Janae Murray. Got our meteorologist Alex Forbes up here with us.
Not a groundhog.
Today is clearly Alex's favorite holiday of the year, Groundhog Day.
Yep.
Why do you hate it so much?
Well, so
What's
here's
that
the
about?
deal. There is this creature that tries to steal our jobs once a
little
day
groundhog.
every year. And we were talking about it yesterday, right? The accuracy rating. People are like, it's got a 63% accuracy rating. Okay, what if I had a 63% accuracy rating? You guys would be mad at me 40% of the time. So we'll see what the rodent says.
63 isn't that bad.
General Beauregard Lee, that's where Paul was this morning. He says 6 more weeks of winter. Now, I texted Paul right after that because I knew he was going up to Fresh Air Barbecue after, and I tried to get him to take the groundhog with him to the barbecue place.
You are awful.
He didn't do that, so I guess we'll hear from him next year, too. His counterpart, his colleague in Pennsylvania, Punxsutawney Phil, also saw his shadow and said 6 more weeks, but I think I found a groundhog I like. He's up in White County. Yona the groundhog says an early spring up there in Helen. So
We like that too.
maybe Helen gets the early spring, and after the last 2 weeks, I'm sure they won't complain about that. And then we're stuck with the 6 more weeks of winter here in Georgia. Now, for what it's worth, I do agree with the first 2 groundhogs. I think we're going to be on the cooler side for February. Not what we just went through, but still below the norm. And then once we get into March, hopefully we'll see some changes. We are seeing changes this afternoon. This is where the temperatures stand right now. 45 in Atlanta. If you've got a groundhog on the grill in Covington, it's 46.
Oh my
50 in
goodness.
Eatonton. 37 in Blairsville, and 42 in Dalton. But still, even now, we're hanging on to wind chills. It feels like it's 33 in Blairsville, 43 in Rome, pair of 4s for Athens and for Eatonton. So for the remainder of the afternoon, we are going to get into the upper 40s before all is said and done. So I'm looking for a good bit of melting of all of the icy spots we have, with only a couple of exceptions. If you've got a big ice patch on a road, for example, and it's in the total shade, I don't think all of that goes away today.
Okay.
So I think tomorrow morning it'll be patchy. There'll be few and far between, but there will be some spots on the roads to watch. But I would point out, any spot that's already clear, it's not going to magically redevelop something, right? So if you've got a clear road, you've got a clear road, and that's going to take us into tomorrow morning. But across the area today, 50 in Rome, 50 in Eatonton, and 46 over in Athens. And look at this. In the days to come, we get up to 57 on Tuesday. So what's going to happen is the wind is going to shift around, come out of the southwest, and that's going to bring up really air mass from the Gulf. And whenever we get an air mass from the Gulf, the temperatures go up. That's just how it goes here. But whenever that happens as well, we also get moisture. So we are looking for rain Tuesday night into Wednesday. A little cooler there on Thursday. But after, you ready for this? A tornado one weekend, snow the next weekend, an ice storm the weekend after that, and snow this past weekend. I've got 52 and 55 on Saturday and Sunday, and I'm going to sleep and then wake up and have some groundhog stew.
Our prayers have been answered, you guys. We're finally going to get some normal weather back in. So if I can give the spark notes of your weather forecast, I'm hearing potentially more winter weather. Be safe, be careful out there on the roads.
Well, I would say cold weather, not
Yes,
so much
yeah.
the wintry stuff. I don't have that on the horizon
Yeah.
anytime soon. Yeah.
Okay. And then be careful out there on the roads, because potentially in those areas where there's shade, still could see some ice.
Few and far between. If you have a clear road, it's going to stay clear.
And a pretty neat week ahead of us.
Yep.
57, 55, something like that.
Something like that. And some much needed rain. I think something that we've lost track of really over the past month is the drought situation we have across northern Georgia. Even though we've seen this wintry weather, it has not amounted to a lot of precipitation necessarily, right? Only about 1/10 of an inch of snow leads, or 1/10 of an inch of water leads to an inch of snow. So we need the rain or have the opportunity to get it.
All right, we're looking forward to seeing what happens next here in Georgia. You never know what can happen with our weather. Alex,
Oh, I do.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you got a good idea. Better than 63%.
Yeah, exactly. The groundhog doesn't.
Still ahead, instead of groundhogs, we're going to go somewhere where they're looking to see whether a bear can tell them if there's still going to be winter or maybe some spring ahead. We'll have that when we come back. Hey guys, welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Judea Murray. We've got a lot to talk to you about coming up. I want to see if we can get out there with our Chris Rosenthal. Remember I told you that some people check in on the groundhog. Does he see his shadow? Are we going to have more winter? Are we going to get to spring? And then there are some crazy people out there who want to see what a bear will see. Let's check in where he's at and what that's all about. Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you didn't like what the groundhog saw this morning, we have one more chance. There's a bear called Hibernation Hank up here in Ellijay at the House of Applejay, and shortly, just at 2 o'clock, they're gonna wake him up from hibernation. He's back here in the little barrel here. We got music playing here by the Roadkill Rangers. They got a little bit of snoring in here. I don't know if you can hear it. Yeah, well, we'll see if we can hear the bear. It's actually a man dressed as a bear, but this is just a fun thing. This is the second year they've done this, and this is Caroline here with House of Applejay. How did this idea get started?
Well, very simple. I read about the original weather lore and that the Europeans actually took all kind of hibernating animals, and I said, well, we're in the LAJs, we do have bears, right? So Hibernation Hank was born.
And what do you got? You guys got music, you got food, you got a little bit of everything, huh?
Yeah, especially today. And really great is we have the amazing David Zelski waking the bear later on. So that will be great at 2 p.m. sharp. And we really don't know, will he see his shadow or not? It's really sunny, so we're all very scared.
Yeah, hoping he doesn't there, but we'll see. It's very sunny, so.
At the least, I believe we get an early cocktail season, so we're good with that.
Absolutely. So yeah, but he's right there in that barrel sleeping now, huh?
Absolutely. You can hear him snore. So he's very hard to wake. So we will have a lot of adults screaming in a little bit. So I hope at the TV. So I know we have some friends from Curacao watching from the beach. So shout, "Wake up, Hank! We need all your support."
This is a new tradition, huh? Exciting, huh?
It is, and it's actually lots of fun. It's just about the fun.
Absolutely. Well, it is a lot of fun. It is a fun atmosphere here. We'll pan around here and just kind of look around here. It's almost like a New Year's here. We got music and we got a little bit of everything, and again, but behind that barrel, waiting to wake up Hibernation Hank. Just any minute now here, and we'll see if he sees his shadow or not.
Yeah, so Chris, really interesting out there. I know that starts at 2 o'clock, so we've got about 10 minutes. I'm sitting out here with our Tom Haynes. Tom, first of all, do you buy into the Groundhog's Day?
First of all, Hibernation Hank is sitting there snoring when he's supposed to be the star of the show, coming out to see if he could see his own shadow.
He's hard to wake up, Tom.
You know, what does this mean for spring? And like, is it ever going to warm up if he's sitting in there snoring?
Let me put it like this.
I think we're kind of screwed, right?
Let me put it like this. This is a 21 and up event, so I don't think they really care either.
All right, maybe Hibernation Hank had a little too much to drink or something. Who knows? Judea, I want to tell you, we got a lot coming up tonight on The Pulse at 7 o'clock. By the way, when are you coming on The Pulse?
I got to get the invite.
You know, you're officially invited to be a guest on The Pulse at 7 o'clock. Tonight,
what are y'all chatting about?
We got something new going on. There's a TikTok trend called regular maxing. All right, you've heard of ascending. Well, this is regular maxing. It's where people are on TikTok right now. There's so many trendy things happening on TikTok, so many things that we buy into as consumers, the content on TikTok. Well, this is kind of the opposite of what's happening with regular maxing. It's people saying, forget about it. I'm not going to go with these hot new trends, the new places to eat, the things to wear, the makeup to put on my face. I'm going to go the opposite direction and do regular things, what the regular folk are doing. So we're going to talk about that tonight at 7 o'clock, and if we would just be regular and regular max, all right?
Okay.
That's tonight, coming up on The Pulse at 7 o'clock.
Regular
Hope to someday see you there, Judea.
I would love love to be. Thank you for the official invitation, Tom.
Sure.
All right, you guys, still ahead. We know it's been so cold. We just checked in with our meteorologist, Tom. I don't know how you've been faring with the cold weather, but I've not been doing well.
Not too well. At least it's a little warmer today. Yeah.
That is good to hear. Well, we do know that our Alex Whitler spoke with Emory's Dr. Neil Winoward, because for some of us out there in the cold, it can actually be pretty dangerous. So here are the tips, the things that you need to look out for in order to determine whether you need to seek medical treatment.
What is it that people need to be aware of as it relates to hypothermia?
That's when the body loses more heat than it produces, and it's defined by the temperature dropping internally to under 95 Fahrenheit or under 35 Celsius. And what the body does, it starts shivering because your muscles then start generating body heat, and that raises the core body temperature. And then you shunt blood away from your extremities, your arms and legs, just like the opposite of the summer months when you sweat and you bring blood flow to your skin. In hypothermia or extreme cold, the blood flow goes inward to preserve your central organs, and you develop what's called the umbles. Basically, in severe cold, you may stumble, have trouble walking, you may mumble, have slurred speech, and then you may fumble, you lose coordination in your hands as well. And those are severe cases of hypothermia. When the core body temperature drops even further, you could develop irregular heart rhythms, and it can be life-threatening.
Yeah, I've got a whole list of questions for you, but after hearing that, my first thought is, how long does it take to get to that point?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's really hard to say exactly because the wind chill is a big component of that. I could tell you that in 0-degree weather, you have as little as 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
But when you have temperatures that are below freezing but above zero, well, above freezing, you have more time, obviously, and it then depends how well you're prepared, and we'll get into that. But the wind chill is a huge component of that.
Okay, well then let's talk about the difference between hypothermia and frostbite.
Yeah, frostbite is when you have tissue damage, just like we talked about blood flow going away from your extremities. When your fingers and your toes, the tips of your nose or your ears are not getting that blood flow, they're at risk of getting damaged. And frostbite is when that tissue actually freezes, and when it freezes, it could just be on the surface layer causing redness. It could be a little bit deeper, causing blistering, or it could be full thickness and involve total tissue damage, which can be unfortunately sometimes irreversible. The skin can get blackened, and I think we've all seen pictures of that, and that's
like a nightmare.
It's unfortunate because once you get to that stage, the tissue is not coming back.
And can they happen at the same time? Can you suffer from both in one setting?
Yes, absolutely. As the core temperature drops, that's when you're most at risk. And like I said, depending on the exposed areas and then things like the wind chill and moisture, it can set in pretty quickly.
Well, you mentioned a hot button word there, risk. Are there some people who are more at risk than others?
Well, the obvious thing is people who have prolonged exposure. So people who have housing insecurity, the homeless as well, people who have to work, who are forced to work outdoors in the elements all day as well. And then what we typically discuss on the program a lot, those who are very young, very old, or who have lost the ability to conserve body heat, who might have chronic diseases, and their mechanisms for conserving heat might not be as robust as well.
That's a good reminder. So then how do we treat this?
Yeah, the first thing obviously is get somebody to indoors to a warmer place, and then remove wet clothing. That is
paramount. Yeah.
That is key. And then gentle rewarming. You have to understand that a lot of times these patients may not be able to feel. They may be numb. So you don't want hot packs or anything that could burn the skin. So gentle rewarming, a warm bath, warm blankets. That is what you need to keep in mind. And if somebody has altered mental status or other neurological derangements, you really need to seek medical attention. When we see people in the hospital, we could do other things, put bear huggers on them, which is really an intense warming blanket, give warm fluids, and do other things. But if somebody's neurologically intact and they don't have frostbite, then you could do those other things we discussed at home.
And we're not being dramatic here because, again, I have to mention Saturday because I was out in it. My dad is in town visiting. He is from the Chicago area. So if my dad was saying that it was that kind of cold here, that means that we're not just over-exaggerating for you guys. So, of course, course, you know all the best ways to protect yourself is to bundle up. But another thing I want to talk about is the carbon monoxide dangers as people are trying to warm their homes.
Yes, and very briefly, when you bundle up a whisking moisture layer, so semi-synthetic or wool, then an insulation layer, and then another layer to protect against wind and moisture. But you're 100% right. Some really important things. Do not run generators in the house. Do not bring in camping grills or gas grills or charcoal grills indoor. Don't run your car in a garage that's not open or ventilated as well. Those are really important things, because carbon monoxide poisoning rises in cold weather like this, and we see this. And once again, it's an odorless gas. You don't know that you're exposed to it potentially until you start developing severe symptoms. Oh, also a chimney, make sure that the flue is ventilated fine. Make sure that your furnaces have vents that are not obstructed so that they can vent out to the atmosphere okay, and you don't build up carbon monoxide. Those are all important things to really keep in mind during this time of year, because even if you do have a roof over your head, you want to stay safe in it.
Yeah, you do. And God bless our Georgia power bills, because they're going to be high this season.
You know what? You deal with that after the fact, right? We all open it up and we see that, but you know, you got to do what you have to do during times like this.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Winterworth, thank you.
It's my pleasure.
All right, perfect. So you guys heard it there. You want to stay safe. You want to stay ready. Cold weather is here, but you want to, make sure you make it out of it. So we have our Ariel on stock, getting ready for our next show right here on set. The news does continue at 2. So you guys, I'll let her take it away.
Judea, great to see you. We'll see you guys here at 2 o'clock. We've got a lot of news coming up, and we're going to get a check of the national and local headlines for your day. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. It is great to see you here on our Monday afternoon. We've got a lot of news to get to, and I want to start off with a really heartbreaking story out of Gwinnett County. In case you're unaware, 2 police officers were responding to a fraud call. One tragically did not make it home after trying to do his job. Our Larry Sproul's working to find out the latest information and joins us live. Larry, I know a lot of people are wondering about funeral arrangements, how they might be able to pay their respects, and also how that second officer who was hurt is doing. What can you tell us?
Well, Ariel, we're going to get into all of that. It's a very sad day here in Gwinnett County. Now, just take a look. People all day have been stopping by, as you can see right here, placing flowers on top of Officer Tamang's patrol car, including his family. Now, his family stopped by to have a moment here at the patrol car earlier this afternoon, but we have decided to give his family privacy and not record that moment. But all day, again, people here in Gwinnett County have stopped by to drop off flowers and pray. Fox 5 first told you about this terrible incident on yesterday. Now, police said Officer Tamang and MPO David Reed responded to a hotel on the 1700 block of East Park Place Boulevard around 7:30 yesterday morning, following calls regarding fraud. Now, they got a call that suspect Kevin Andrews had fraudulently booked a hotel room. When the two officers tried to arrest Andrews because he had an arrest warrant in DeKalb County, Andrews pulled out a gun and allegedly shot both of the officers. Now, Officer Tamang died and Officer Reed is in the hospital with critical injuries. We spoke to one woman who knew Officer Tamang. She says she had to stop by and show respect.
Life is lost way too soon. This gentleman spoke an oath to protect Gwinnett County, and he gave his life doing it. So it's just my way of saying thank you.
Now, the suspect, Kevin Andrews, was also injured in the shooting. He's in the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and we also know that the GBI is investigating this case. The district attorney's office, they will soon determine what charges the suspect will face. We're live in Gwinnett County. I'm Larry Sproul, Fox 5 News.
Situation, you know, my thoughts just go out to Officer Tamang's family. It's, you know, he was going out to what he thought was a routine fraud call, and obviously none of these calls are routine, right? You always kind of have the idea that something could go wrong, but the fact that he was going towards this call and this is how it ended is just tragic. If people are wanting to pay their respects, I know I'm seeing people come behind you at that squad car. Is that a really good way to support his family? Have you heard ways that we can pay our respects if needed?
Well, Area, as of right now, that is the best way as of today. I did reach out to the public information officer here at the police station. He tells me as of right now they are still trying to figure out funeral arrangements or if there will be some kind of ceremony or memorial. They are talking to the family as we speak. Again, the family is inside, and they did stop by out here to just take a look at their patrol car, but we were asked not to film that and not to bother the family to give them privacy at this very hour. But I did ask, I said, will there be some kind of balloon release or memorial funeral arrangements? And they say yes, but as of right now, they do not know when that will be. They're still planning it. So as of right now, as of today, the best way for people to pay their respects is to stop by here to bring some flowers and balloons like everyone has been doing earlier today and just put them on top of his patrol car. Ariel?
Larry, a wonderful way to pay tribute. And, you know, I'm glad and proud of us for the sensitivity, right, of giving his family that time, because I can only imagine what they're going through. For the other officer, I know that he was a master police officer, and you talked a little bit about how he's doing. Have you heard about any efforts to support him as of this hour?
Yeah, not as of right now. The only thing we do know, and the only thing that police are saying right now, is that he is in the hospital. He's recovering in critical condition, but due to HIPAA laws and things of that nature, they are waiting from his family to contact them to update them in regards to how to support that officer and what to do at this very hour as of today. Ariel.
Got it. Larry, thank you so much for covering this for us, letting us know where things stand. If anything changes, I know you're going to update us. So I'll let you get back to information gathering. Just a very quick question that came to mind right now. Where are you again? This is Gwinnett Police Headquarters, just in case someone wants to know, in case they have something they want to drop off.
Yeah, right. We were at the Gwinnett County Police Department, their headquarters here in Gwinnett County, which is off High Hope Road, so you can come by here, drop off any flowers, balloons, or anything of that nature as you see fit.
Awesome. Larry Sproul, thank you so much. Appreciate your reporting this afternoon. Okay, guys, we're going to continue to move on here because, like I said, we have a lot of news to get to. That's a story we're going to continue to keep you updated on Fox Local. But in the meantime, it's been less than a week since the FBI actually raided Fulton County's election hub. And this is in an effort to get information to investigate the controversial 2020 election. We saw agents walking in and out of that building and walking out in some places with files. And they actually had quite a few trucks getting that evidence there. And now Fulton County says it's going to court over this matter. So Fox 5's Kevin Stewart joins us live to try to make sense of this. Kevin, I understand you're in Union City. Tell me about what Fulton County's trying to do here.
Well, that filing of a motion is supposed to take place at any point this afternoon. We're going to keep checking back to see when that officially happens. But the goal here, there's several goals really, but they want those boxes back. Bottom line, about 700 boxes were pulled out of this building last Wednesday. They had voter records, ballots, tabulation tapes, all tied to the 2020 election that you noted was controversial. President Donald Trump lost that election and he has alleged fraud, but there have been multiple audits and recounts and they've turned up nothing. So the county says that the feds actually overreached and that they had no business taking all of those boxes that was supposed to be available to them in an upcoming court hearing that's supposed to take place. And they were only supposed to be copies, certainly not taking the whole thing. And so one of the goals here is to kind of restrict what the feds actually have access to once the county, as it hopes, gets those boxes back. I had a chance to talk to County Commissioner Marvin Arrington Jr. This afternoon, and here's what he had to tell me. Take a listen.
Chain of custody has been broken. It's virtually too late. At this point, we have no idea if they've added the 11,000 votes that he was looking for or lost the 11,000 votes that he was looking for or what, right? Because they broke the chain of custody. Had this been done through the civil procedure in front of Judge Thrash or the action that they filed in front of Judge McBurney, it would have required an inventory to be taken, a detailed inventory to be taken at the time of the transfer, and they would not have had our original records. Right now they have our original ballots, original absentee ballots, original provisional ballots, and so there's no way for us to guarantee any of these records at this time or at this point based on, you know, the way that they just came and stole the records. If they were really looking for fraud, election fraud, they would have asked for 2016 and 2024 records. I mean, they think that Fulton County only committed fraud in 2020 and not in 2016 or 2024. The reason they're not asking for 2016 and 2024 records is because he won those elections.
Now, he's referencing in that 2016 and 2024 winning the national election. President Trump did not win Fulton County in those 2 years. So to give you some clarity on that one. So this is definitely something we're going to continue to follow because there are definitely a lot of questions that the county wants answered. We're going to continue to look to see when that filing is officially filed. Ariel?
Yeah, Kevin, you know, it's been such a saga. And I remember when we were even covering this and talking about it, we were able to talk with a Fulton County election official. I believe Sally Grubbs, or I don't quite remember her last name, but Sally was her first name, and she came out. We talked to her. She said this has been a long time coming, and it kind of gave you an idea of how she saw the situation. And then we were able to talk with state lawmakers who called her out by name and said she was peddling conspiracy theories. So it's very interesting to see this county, as many years later as we are, still discussing this issue, and now we have this federal warrant and this situation unfolding. Are Fulton County commissioners, our local leaders, their main concern, is it that chain of custody and that it's been broken? Is there anything else they bring up as cause for concern here?
Well, I think you hit it right there. We're talking about trust. You have one political faction that does not trust Fulton County, and here you see Fulton County leadership, primarily Democratic, doesn't trust what Washington is doing, what the Trump administration is doing. You know, if you say, they say all the items in here were being kept safely, and now that the chain of custody has been broken, they don't know what's going to happen. One of the things that they're asking for in the filing, they plan to ask in that filing, is an audit to make sure everything is supposed to be in there. Everything that's in there is supposed to be there. You heard the commissioner kind of just throw that out there that, well, maybe they threw extra votes in there, and that's the situation right now. People don't trust anyone.
Yeah, Kevin, that definitely seems to be the case. As a final question to you, so this motion has not quite been filed by Fulton County commissioners yet, but we expect it to be filed in federal court today.
Right. I was told they actually wanted to try to file it Friday, but because they wanted to dot the I's, cross the T's, and with weather, they decided to hold off until today. But we understand that motion is going to be filed sometime this afternoon, and we will keep you updated on that.
Kevin, thanks so much for the conversation, your hard work reporting. I appreciate you. We'll check back in if you get anything new. Okay, guys, in the meantime, let's let Kevin get back to information gathering. And I want to tell you about some other things that are happening. I know many of you here always on TikTok, YouTube, streaming along with us, always asking the latest with the Epstein files. So let's get into it because, as you know, the Justice Department dropped 3 million new files related to Jeffrey Epstein. And there's a lot of questions that have emerged as the result of this latest drop. So a top Justice Department official, Todd Blanche, you just saw him, he's the Deputy Attorney General, has downplayed the chance that charges are going to come from this latest round of Epstein files and the revelations that they contain. The massive document dump has focused fresh attention on Jeffrey Epstein and his links to powerful individuals around the world. It's also brought back questions about what and if any knowledge that these contacts had about Epstein's crimes. And the fallout is continuing because Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche says that the potential of more charges coming against any possible co-conspirators is not necessarily likely. He actually said in this news conference last week that there's lots of emails, lots of photographs, and horrible photographs, he said, that appear to be taken by Mr. Epstein or people around him, but that doesn't necessarily allow us to prosecute somebody. And that's what's important for the American people to understand. That was something he said last week. Some lawmakers, though, say that this is not enough and they want more done. For example, Democrat Ro Khanna says that she thinks that prosecutors do need to bring charges. The Justice Department released more than 3 million pages of material, and the files actually revealed some of Jeffrey Epstein's communications with prominent public figures both in the U.S. and abroad after he served time for some sex crimes. So this has just been an ongoing situation, and while the Justice Department admits it redacted a small amount of the files to protect the victims, some people are convinced that there are more documents that should be released. But Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche has said that we have nothing to hide. The entire world can look now and see if we got it wrong. All of those named in the recently released files have denied having anything to do with Epstein's sexual abuse of girls and young women. But I know that we've been seeing a lot of images and documents circulating on social media, on Threads, on Twitter, now X, and that's something that we're going to continue to monitor. Keep in mind, one thing that Todd Blanche did say in that news conference last week is that a lot of tips that they received are in these documents, but just because those tips are there does not mean that they are verified. He did say that the Justice Department had not been able to verify every single tip, as there were thousands contained within there. So as we continue, I want to get you now to the update as to where we stand with the partial government shutdown, because at this point, it looks like this partial government shutdown is going to last a little bit longer. House Democrats are refusing to back the deal negotiated in the Senate last week, and that would pass new spending bills. Republicans are now scrambling as of today to try to find another deal. The earliest Congress can find a way out of this partial government shutdown at this point is tomorrow, but that assumes Republicans in the House can close ranks and get this across the finish line. We know the snow in D.C. and the weather created a shutdown, and now Congress has ushered in this second shutdown, if you will. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson says that they have to have a lot of conversation with individual Republican members over the next 24 hours or so. He says they're all going to get it done by Tuesday. He says he's convinced they're going to find a deal. But despite a bipartisan deal in the Senate last week, Johnson can't count on many Democrats in the House, even as this week now begins with many federal agencies out of money. So part of the reason for all of this is that there are protests still underway in Minnesota. People are still protesting immigrations and customs enforcement's policies and how they are arresting people and working there in Minnesota. And so House Democrats feel emboldened, if you will, to hold their ground on this issue. And they're willing to risk an extended shutdown rather than a deal that would fund the Department of Homeland Security for even just 2 more weeks while talks continue. They want to have that negotiating chip. So at this point, Democrats want changes in the way ICE operates. I know we've talked about it, and they are as follows. They want an end to roving patrol, a ban on face masks, and they want a requirement for body-worn cameras. You know, many immigrations and customs officials do not wear them. One thing that a reporter did ask President Donald Trump was, do you support Border Patrol agents wearing and ICE wearing body cams? And the president said that they would be talking about that in the near future. Even if this current proposal that's going on in Congress right now passes, we could still be back in a shutdown in 2 weeks when Homeland Security runs out of funding again. So this is something we're going to continue to keep you updated on. But at this point, a lot of Republicans, or a few Republicans rather, are siding with a majority of Democrats, saying that there needs to be changes in processes to how ICE operates. And that is why we see some of this gridlock. Another thing I want to let you know, speaking of the situation unfolding within Minnesota, is that 5-year-old boy, you probably saw photos of him, that was detained by ICE agents, is now returning home to Minnesota. This was something that we saw images of on social media. That little boy was detained outside his home on January 20th, and it actually outraged many critics of President Trump's administration's crackdown on immigrants there in Minnesota. On Sunday, just yesterday, the boy and his father returned home after a judge ordered it so. This 5-year-old boy and his father, you can see in a photo there. According to Congressman Joaquin Castro, Liam Ramos, that 5-year-old, and his dad were released from a family detention center in Texas. And the government officials say the father entered the United States illegally in 2024. Their family attorney says he has a pending asylum claim, which allows him to stay here. The detainment of the pair, originally from Ecuador, increased nationwide outrage against the Trump administration. And nearby neighbor and school officials claimed that ICE officers used that 5-year-old boy, Liam Ramos, the preschooler, as, quote, bait, telling him to knock on his door so his mother would answer. And that would be a way to get his father in that situation. This is something we're going to continue to monitor as that family is now back in Minnesota. We do know that anti-ICE demonstrations do continue across the nation. And in Minnesota, again, this weekend, thousands took to the streets to protest policies there. So another situation I want to continue to keep you guys updated on involves international stories, right? I want to let you know where we stand with Iran, because this has been something we've talked about a lot. Where do we stand with the United States building up its military near Iran? Is there going to be a military conflict between the United States and Iran? And how do all of the protests that have happened there factor into this? At this point, the United States does continue to build its military forces in the Middle East. President Trump has been sending a clear message to the leaders of Iran, saying they want, the United States wants Iran to end its nuclear program and stop its deadly crackdown on protesters, or the United States will strike. The pressure is on for Iran to accept President Trump's nuclear deal or risk that military action. But Iran's supreme leader warned just yesterday that any United States military involvement is going to spark a wider war across the region. We also know that Iran's supreme leader is considering all European Union militaries as terror groups after the EU did the same with Iran's Revolutionary Guard. This is creating concern that Iran could strike NATO allies if the United States attacks. There are also reports that a meeting between United States and Iranian officials could happen this week in Turkey, but reaching a deal would be difficult. President Trump says he believes Iran is taking the negotiations seriously and the two countries will reach a deal, but it's going to remain to be seen whether or not Iran's supreme leader actually signs off on any sort of agreement. This is going to be something we watch closely. We will let you know right here on Fox Local as soon as we get any information. Guys, coming up, we're going to get a check of your weather forecast with meteorologist Alex Forbes. And some of you are asking questions here in the chat about Fulton County. If you're asking about Fulton County elections and the story that we've been following there, we just got an update with Kevin Stewart as to the latest there. Fulton County is going to be filing a motion regarding that FBI raid. So we'll continue to keep you updated. But in the meantime, Alex Forbes is going to join us coming up next. Welcome in, you guys. I'm Ariel Onstad here with meteorologist Alex Forbes. Alex, it's Groundhog Day, so don't know why you're here if a rodent can predict the weather.
See ya. That's my thought process all along, is that everybody wants to be like, all right, we've got the forecast for the next 6 weeks, so it's not just today. I can take off the entire month of February and come back after St. Patrick's Day.
What do you guys say? You trust a rodent over Alex? I'm going to say not a chance.
Well, and I was telling Judea the last hour, you know, there's this whole notion that, oh, Punxsutawney, or I think it was actually our rodent.
Yes, Beauregard-Lee.
60-some-odd% accuracy rating. Okay. What if I had the 60% accuracy rating? I think people would have something to say about
They would
that.
have something to say. Well, I have to say, today it almost felt downright warm outside, dare I say, compared to what we have been. Like, I came in, you guys, I don't know if you've done the same, I came in with a light jacket. So what do we got in the works for the week?
I saw some heavy jackets out at Dosset Trails. So let's run through it real quick. We'll see what the rodents say. 6 more weeks of winter, according to the thing down in Jackson. The thing up in Pennsylvania says the same thing.
At least they're aligned.
Yes. Well, and then Yona the groundhog comes and throws a wrench in the party, and he says early spring.
I'm going to go with Yona. I need spring.
I don't like any of them, but I think I've got to go with General Lee and Punxsutawney Phil, at least for our forecast there. So I am expecting February to be on the cooler side. Don't get me wrong. 47 in Atlanta right now, still below the norm here in the city. 37 in Blairsville, where just down the road in Habersham County, the kids are going to be out of school again tomorrow. There are still some snowy and icy patches on the roads there. I expect to see more of that, more school announcements probably here through the afternoon, particularly up in northeast Georgia. Now, take a look at the satellite and radar picture here. Nothing really going on across the southeast. We'll see if it wants to go. There it goes. Yeah, some snow up in Virginia. That's about it. So that's what you call a clipper system. And we've got high pressure and control down along the Gulf. That's actually shifting our winds now coming out of the west rather than the northwest. And that's going to warm our temperatures here in the next couple of days. So for today, still looking for the upper 40s a little later on this afternoon. 57 for tomorrow. That's a result of that southwesterly breeze. And then 53 there on Wednesday. So the front will slide through. It will return temperatures back to about where they are today, 46 or so for Thursday, before we're back in the 50s by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now for tomorrow, I mentioned that rain chance. I think the majority of that holds off until after the evening commute, maybe towards the tail end of the evening commute, last into the early overnight. And by the time we get to Wednesday morning, it'll be scattered in nature, the showers that is, before we begin to clear out. That's going to be during the day Wednesday. Now, here's your Fox 5 Storm Team 7-day forecast. 57 for Tuesday, 53 on Wednesday. Again, Wednesday predominantly dry. It's just a couple scattered showers left for the morning. And then look at Friday, 56 and sunny. That sounds pretty nice.
Yeah,
52
it does.
on Saturday, 55 on Sunday. So we had a tornado the second week of January in Carroll County. Then we had snow the following weekend,
we
Henry
did.
County, Jasper, Putnam counties. Then we had the ice storm where 80% of White County lost power. And then we had snow this past weekend.
Yes.
So I might channel my inner rodent and go hibernate.
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday.
I hope that for all of you, it is a lovely weekend of no abnormal, or no, what should I say? No crazy January
speed
weather.
bumps. Yeah. No speed
you know, I think at this point, Georgia has earned at least that much.
something.
At
Just
least
once.
that much. Alex, thanks. We will stay tuned in case anything changes. And I know one thing to keep our eyes on as we progress here, I was going to ask you about it, but although we've gotten this ice and this snow, I feel like the drought situation in Georgia is probably still pretty severe. So it will be something that I know you'll monitor.
In fact, I'm planning on bringing it up here in the next hour, so all the more reason to stay tuned.
Cool. Awesome. Well, you guys will talk about it. Alex, thank you so much. Guys, coming up, we're going to get you a check of some other stories. I want to let you know where we stand with the Tara Baker trial that is underway right now. And I also want to let you know where we stand with the Super Bowl that is this weekend. We're going to check on those things on the other side of this coming up. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad here with reporter Tara Jabor. So, Tara, today the Tara Baker trial gets underway in Athens. And for those who are unfamiliar, this is a cold case murder trial. And we're trying to understand who is responsible for killing a UGA law student. So right now I understand opening statements are underway today in this trial. Tell me a little bit about what was going on in the courtroom today. I understand there might have been some speed bumps.
Yeah, there was. It got off to a late start because the judge says that 4 of the jurors, they didn't show up. So it started a little bit late. The opening statements now are still currently going on. They've been going on for over 2 hours. So obviously in these opening statements, both sides are trying to convince the jury of their case. So of course the defense is trying to prove the innocence of the man who is accused, Edric Faust, and the state is trying to prove to the jury that he did the crime. So Edric Faust was arrested a couple years ago for the murder of Tara Baker. Prosecutors allege that Faust beat, stabbed, and sexually assaulted Baker in 2001 before setting her home on fire. The Georgia Bureau of Investigators say that forensic evidence led them to Faust more than 2 decades after her killing. Now, Baker was killed in January of 2001 in Athens. She was a law student at the time at the University of Georgia. Baker was last seen the day before her 24th birthday at the law library. She told a friend that she was leaving the library around 10. Then the next morning, firefighters found Baker's body inside her apartment while responding to a fire. Now, fire investigators determined that her apartment was set on fire to conceal a murder. Now, let's take a listen to what attorneys on both sides had to say during opening statements.
This trial represents the final chapter in a long, sad saga for both the Baker family and for the Athens community. For decades, everyone who loved Tara wanted to know who killed Tara Baker. Ladies and gentlemen, Edric Faust killed Tara Baker. Edric Faust sexually assaulted Tara Baker. Edric Faust set her house on fire. And now, the final chapter begins today. But the last few pages of this story haven't been written. At the end of the trial, we're going to hand you the pen, and you, the jury, will write those last few pages. And when you do, you'll have the evidence to write the correct ending to this horrible saga.
We're here to talk about and find out whether the state's evidence proves beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Faust committed the crimes that he's charged with. That's it. That is why we are here. And in this trial, the question is not who killed Miss Baker. That is not the question that anyone is asking you to determine. But again, the question is simply, does the state's evidence that they present to you prove that Mr. Faust, proves beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Faust is the person responsible for burglarizing Ms. Baker's home? He's charged with burglary in the indictment, sexually assaulting Ms. Baker, and killing Ms. Baker. That's the sole question you have to answer.
Interesting, Tara, and especially interesting because, you know, that was one of the first questions I asked you as the reporter. I was like, in my head, I ask, okay, who is responsible? And the defense is arguing that's not the question. It is, did this man do it?
Yes, and, you know, obviously this is a cold case for over 20 years. So there's so much evidence. There's so much police paperwork. There's so many interviews. They're expecting this trial to take about 2 weeks, but some people think that it could take way longer than that. So it'll be interesting to see how long this takes.
I can only imagine. Tara, thanks so much for keeping us updated, and I know you're going to stay on top of it, so I appreciate your hard work. Okay, guys, we're going to switch gears here for a minute. Let's go out to San Francisco and take a look at Levi's Stadium, where the Super Bowl will be held this weekend. You're taking a live look there in Santa Clara. And as we take a look ahead to the big game, we've got Crystal Bailey out live for us in San Francisco to give us an understanding as to what is going on with the game this weekend. So, Crystal, lovely to have you here with us. Tell us, what's the mood like? What's going on? Give us a preview.
Yeah,
I will say that excitement is at an all-time high. We are in the media room for the conference center, Moscone Conference Center, which is a very big conference center here in San Francisco, where all of the events are set to take place throughout the week. And I got to tell you, this media room is buzzing with activity. You can see up above the Super Bowl signage, and at the very top they have every single banner for every Super Bowl before this one. And the buzz is pretty high. I mean, it took us a bit of time to get into the city. We live on the other side of the bay, but every major sports broadcaster and podcaster, internet shows, all setting up here for the biggest event for them in the country. They're also setting up for their big shows to talk to some of the big players and, of course, some of the large big names in the NFL. So they're setting up. They're arriving across the street. Also, a lot of buzz, a lot of activity as folks get ready, because fans are set to come in to start arriving and experiencing the whole thing here at Moscone Center tomorrow. Across the street, we only were there for about 15 minutes, but they're setting up games, interactive activities, which they do every year for the Super Bowl. Field goal kicking, 40-yard dash, mobile youth football clinics. You could see Fox Radio across the street, or not across the street, across the room, I should say, FanDuel, and some of these folks have really big stages. So I'm going to have Joseph here move over to my left where the Bleacher Report is, and they just told me that they just decided that they were going to expand their stage. You can see it's really interactive, so they've got social media things set up, and they're going to have some of the biggest players also there for interviews. We also saw a big display for Bad Bunny, as you know, who just won Album of the Year last night. So a lot of excitement, a lot of activity, and there will be food exhibits and tens of thousands of folks here in San Francisco already, I'm sure, arriving and getting ready for the big game.
Yeah, Crystal, I think a lot of people are excited to watch the halftime show. I feel like Super Bowl fans always fall into one camp, maybe one or two. You're there for the commercials, the halftime, or the actual teams. Maybe two or three of those. But, I'm curious, as kind of a final question here, since it's on the West Coast, do you see more Seahawks fans as opposed to New England? I mean, Patriots have a long way to go for this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I would say Super Bowl NFL fans in general, I'm starting to see there's media for sure here from every part of the country, East Coast, West Coast. I imagine there will probably be more Seahawks fans because we are so close. But yeah, I mean, the Bay Area is set to expect people from all over the country, and it's going to be a big East versus West Coast battle out here this week.
It absolutely will. I'm already getting those vibes on social media. So, Crystal, thanks so much for joining us, giving us a preview of the excitement. I hope you have a good time. Pretty sweet assignment. So we'll continue here. Crystal, thanks so much. Okay, guys, we're going to move on. I want to get to some other news as we continue. And if you're just now joining us, it is great to have you here. I'm Ariel Onstadt, and we're talking about the news of the day here in Atlanta and beyond. We got you guys here on TikTok, YouTube. If you have questions, I will try to answer them. If you have questions about any of the stories we've covered, just let me know. I'd like to switch gears to a story that's captivating a lot of attention, and it involves Savannah Guthrie. As many of you know her, the Today Show co-host, and her mother is missing in Arizona right now. There's actually a couple news conferences that were held earlier this morning because her mother is considered a vulnerable adult. And she's been reported missing in Arizona. Anyone with any information is urged to contact 911 as soon as they see her. But at this point, the last place that her 84-year-old mother was seen, her name is Nancy Guthrie, was the evening of January 31st, and she was last seen in her Catalina Foothills home. Now, I want to let you listen to the Pima County Sheriff, Chris Nanos. He addressed this in a news conference and explained why they are so concerned.
We saw some things at the home that were concerning to us. We believe now, after we processed that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime. This is a 84-year-old lady who suffers from some physical ailments, has some physical challenges, is in need of medication that if she doesn't have in 24 hours, it could be fatal. She is very limited in her mobility, right? We know she didn't just walk out of there. That we know. There are other things at the scene that indicate there was a she did not leave on her own. We know that.
Just a heartbreaking situation. So again, if you guys are streaming with us and you are near that area, because I know we get people who watch from all across the country, I'm going to tell you, she's described as 5 feet 5 inches, weighing 150 pounds, and has brown hair and blue eyes. And you're urged again to call 911 if you are to see her. But this is a developing story we'll continue to keep an eye on for you right here on Fox Local. As things continue, you've heard of Punxsutawney Phil, you've heard of Beauregard Lee here in Georgia, you know. The rodents, the groundhogs who are predicting the weather for us. Well, there is a fun tradition in LJ that involves a much larger animal and the weather, and our Chris Rosenthal is going to take us there coming up next. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Ariel Onstad. It is great to have you here on our Monday afternoon, and it is Groundhog Day, and if you can believe it, Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow, predicting 6 more weeks of winter. Beauregard Lee here in Georgia, another groundhog that saw his shadow, 6 more weeks of winter. So we're going to do it again, and maybe try with animal number 3 here. Chris Rosenthal joins us live. And Chris, I understand this involves waking a bear. Care to explain?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, in sort of the folklore of waking up animals coming out of hibernation and seeing what their, you know, whether or not they see their shadows, whether or not we'll have winter. I'm at the House of Apple Jay, where they have a new tradition where it's instead of a groundhog, they've woken up a bear, and they just did this. And maybe we can take a quick look at some video, some sound of this here, real quick. Hibernation Hank, let's listen in. Wake up, Hank! Wake up, Hank! Yeah, that's just about 45 minutes ago they woke him up. He's been hibernating in this barrel. When I got here in the barrel, he was actually. You could actually hear him snoring. They had some snoring sounds, but you know, it's been a real festive, fun atmosphere. They've had some music, and I'm joined here by, guess who? Hibernation Hank and Caroline here. And first, how was it sleeping in that barrel there?
Aging in the barrel was excellent until they woke me up.
Oh boy! And when you woke up, did you see your shadow?
you know, it doesn't really matter about the shadows. It's just cocktail season, and that's what we're going to do.
All right, so we're skipping straight to cocktail season. So, you know, forget spring, forget winter. It's cocktail season. So, Caroline here from House of Applejack. How did you get this idea here?
Well, very simple. I read about the original weather lore that all hibernating animals are included. And I thought, well, we're in the LAJs. We need a bear. So.
Absolutely, yeah. So, is the bear more accurate than a groundhog?
I would say yes, because the groundhog predicted winter, and I'm doing everything to stand in the shadow.
Hey, tell me about the fun you're having. What do we have going on here? This is a big party, huh? What does this mean to the community here?
Yeah, so we started with hibernationing last year, and this year, against all the odds, we had a snowstorm. We have a Monday. We had a really great turnout, and I'm really happy. So we had David Zelski here. We have a wonderful food truck from Bradley Street Kitchen. So that's really awesome. So thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, and it's definitely a great turnout here. The shoes, this may be my favorite part, Ariel. Those are pretty crazy.
The commitment to the bit for me, I mean, those are pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. This is their second year, but you're gonna keep this going, huh?
Yes, of course. It's a lot of fun and people love it, and it's our off season, but it's so beautiful to hike in the LAJs because the leaves are down, the waterfalls are amazing. So just come up to the mountains. It's just worth it.
And maybe enjoy the upcoming spring or cocktail season.
Cocktail season, always.
Chris, I love to see how people are finding community and working together. It's really sweet, you know, to just be able to create your own traditions. And whether it's spring, it's winter, just have a cocktail, enjoy the sunshine and each other's company in the meantime. So, Chris Rosenthal, thanks so much. Those little pods look really great, Chris. Maybe I'll find you in one at 3 o'clock.
Oh, maybe so. I mean, it's a great place to sleep for the winter for sure. So.
Chris, thanks so much. I'll let you get back to it. Chris is going to go socialize, you know, with the bear and enjoy cocktail season potentially. So, in the meantime, while Chris tries to wake a bear, let's continue on with some other news of the day, because there's some other headlines I want to tell you guys about that I have not had a chance to yet. And one of them involves actually a pretty significant story, because an undercover investigation with Meta is now heading to court. At this point, the state of New Mexico is actually suing Meta and its platforms because they say that Meta is, quote, a breeding ground for sexual predators. Now, New Mexico's lawsuit actually follows a coordinated investigation using proxy social media accounts of young users. And they did this to track sexual solicitation on Meta apps like Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, as well as how the platform responds to this behavior. Prosecutors say Meta should be held accountable for how such content is presented on its platforms, rather than being held accountable for the content itself. Meta says the accusations in the lawsuit are, quote, sensationalist. Jury selection in the case actually begins today in a Santa Fe district court. Opening statements are expected February 9th. So this is pretty significant, and we'll keep you updated. And in the meantime, if you're looking at buying a house and you've been wondering how you're going to afford it and taking a look at everything, now experts are saying the housing market is swinging back towards buyers. And an analysis from the real estate company Redfin says that home buyers are securing the biggest discounts in over a decade. Really crazy when you consider where we were with the pandemic just a few years ago, where houses were in rare and short supply, and buyers, it was not a buyer's market, if you remember. So the analysis from Redfin shows that the average discount for a home buyer who paid less than the original asking price in 2025 was about 8%. And that's the biggest savings in 13 years, so pretty significant. Redfin also reports about 62% of all home buyers got discounts in 2025, the highest share since 2019. And Redfin notes the market favors buyers in Florida, Texas, thanks to a new home construction there. But buyers were least likely to get a discount in Newark, New Jersey, San Francisco, and San Jose, California. Lots of limited construction, new construction in those areas, and so that's part of the reason why. Something else I want to keep you guys abreast of is that the FDA is actually launching a new program to boost drug production here in the United States. It's actually a pilot program, and they're trying to boost United States production of pharmaceutical drugs. As of Sunday, the FDA is accepting applications for its pre-check program. The FDA says that it'll be selecting an initial group of pharmaceutical manufacturing facilities based on, quote, the overall alignment with national priorities across multiple selection criteria. Ultimately, the goal here is to streamline construction and cut down the review process for drug manufacturing right here in the United States of America. The FDA actually says that this criteria includes products, productions, timelines, and innovation. And this new pilot program is part of President Trump's initiative to increase drug production here at home. Another thing I want to keep you guys updated on as we continue with some health-focused news is that doctors there's a new warning for pregnant women. And, you know, it's interesting because we talk a lot about warnings for pregnant and postpartum women, and this is just another one to pile on because a new study is claiming that stroke warning signs were missed by healthcare professionals. Researchers with the medical records of 135 women treated for pregnancy-related stroke at 5 comprehensive stroke centers actually found about 27% had gone to a doctor for stroke-related symptoms about a month before their stroke, but did not get a diagnosis. The stroke remains a major health risk for pregnant women even after delivery. 1 in 12 deaths for pregnant and postpartum moms are caused by strokes, 1 in 12. And this team that did this research notes that the symptoms for expecting or new moms can be unusual, like severe headaches, neck pain, and confusion can all be some of the warning signs before a stroke. Researchers say stroke prevention is vital and that diagnostic gaps must be closed in order to protect maternal health. That study does appear in the journal Stroke if you want to know more about it. But the Trump administration actually is working to try to address addiction and mental health issues. Today, Secretary Kennedy and Dr. Oz, Commissioner Oz, actually were discussing this a little bit, and they were talking about about this new bipartisan effort that's trying to confront America's growing health and addiction crisis. So there was a talk moderated today in Washington, D.C., and Secretary Kennedy talked a little bit about this. So let's listen in for a few minutes.
Talk to us about that.
I mean, it's a raw financial issue. It can be reduced to a raw financial issue. It costs about $92 billion a year in direct costs. Sure. About $890 billion a year in indirect costs and lost productivity and costs to our healthcare system. And just collateral damage and all the collateral illnesses. One of the things Patrick and I were talking about backstage is the intensity of use by drug addicts and alcoholics of the healthcare system. That they're in the emergency room all the time. They're also imposing costs on our justice system. They're imposing costs on our foster care system. They overutilize every aspect of the government, and you get them into treatment and all that stops. And they stop. Patrick was telling me that he went to 17 rehabs. But he was in the emergency room once a week with, everything from kidney infections, contusions on his face from falling. And in 15 years that he's been sober, he's never been to an emergency room. And, I see that. We all know that that's what happens to addicts. They're negative producers, and they're just, like I said, in economic terms, they're drags on the whole system. But also, just for the morale of our country, we are in what we're facing now in this country is we have the worst health outcomes in the history of the world.
Yes.
The highest chronic disease burden of any country in the world. We pay the highest cost, 2 to 3 times what Europeans pay for health care. And we've lost 6 years to Europe in terms of our lifespan. Over the past 2 decades, we've got the highest infant mortality rate in the developed world, the highest maternal mortality rate in the developed world. And then our, cancer rates, we're having an epidemic of colorectal cancer now among children. And 10 to 14-year-old children the last decade.
So you're listening to Secretary Kennedy talk a little bit about what the White House is doing to try to tackle addiction, mental health, and cancer. He was talking about some wide-ranging health initiatives, and it's something we're going to continue to monitor and keep you updated on. In the meantime, I'd like to let you peek inside of Olympic Village as we get ready for the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan this year. And that village, it houses the athletes, and it's starting to take shape, the Olympic Village, and some of the athletes who are going to compete in the Winter Games in Milan arrived on Sunday. Around 1,500 athletes and team members are going to stay there during the games. And the village includes spaces for relaxation, a gym, a video game area, a bar, makeup areas, and a large canteen. The cafeteria supplies the participants with healthy food as they prepare for their competitions. And the athletes have actually already started decorating their spaces with team flags and banners. You can see some team members arriving there. The Winter Olympic Games start Friday and run through February 22nd. So that will be something that I know I'm going to be watching. Tom, I don't know, maybe you're going to be watching as well and trying to keep up with the Olympics. I don't know if that's something that you normally partake in.
I got to be honest with you. I forgot that the Olympics were even happening, all right, because so much has been happening here with our winter weather coverage, and frankly, I don't know who's winning the PR battle, but I've been hearing a lot more about the Olympics in Los Angeles than I have in Italy. So,
but for different reasons, I feel like.
I'll tell you what. When the ice skaters start coming on and doing the triple loops,
the triple axel,
whatever, I'll start dialing into the Winter Olympics.
Sounds
and
good.
maybe the ski jumps too. Those are pretty cool. Ariel, we got a lot coming up here in the 3 p.m. hour here on Fox Local. So glad you're with us this afternoon. We're going to get the very latest in that deadly shooting involving the 2 Gwinnett County police officers, 1 fatally shot, 1 critically injured in the hospital. We're going to check in on the latest on his condition, and the alleged shooter who is also in the hospital recovering from injuries and potential charges that individual is facing. What a bizarre set of circumstances.
Truly.
On a Sunday morning for these 2 officers to encounter at a hotel.
On a fraud call of all things.
Yeah, how that all unfolded and how it all happened. So the drama surrounding the investigation into the 2020 election is intensifying at the State House. Our Deidre Dukes there covering that for us. And boy, leave it to our Doug Evans to have some great dash cam video from the Coweta County Police Department. He's got it for us, and it's still ahead coming up here in the 3 p.m. hour.
Awesome. Well, Tom, I'm looking forward to it. You guys, thanks so much for being live with us here on your Monday afternoon. I'm Ariel on.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for streaming with us here this afternoon. I'm Tom Haynes with you live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom on a busy start to our work week today. A beautiful day in the metro Atlanta area. If you are here watching this afternoon, you know the weather has dramatically improved from what we experienced over the weekend. Meteorologist Alex Forbes is going to be along shortly to talk to us about our week-long forecast and if we will finally get a weekend where we are not dealing with winter weather. Alex will be along here shortly. In the meantime, I want to bring you up to date on a story that has been breaking since Sunday, and it's a tragic one following the very latest in the deadly shooting involving two Gwinnett County police officers. We now know the name of one of the officers killed and the other who was wounded in this Sunday morning shooting. Police say Officer Pradeep Tamang was shot and killed, and Officer David Reed was critically injured. Now, the two responding officers were going to what is called a fraud call at a hotel near Stone Mountain Sunday morning. They say that it was an unprovoked attack. This happened at a Holiday Inn Express. A call reporting that a person had fraudulently booked a room at that hotel. All right, so Officers Tamang and Reed went to the room where the man, identified as Kevin Andrews, was staying and then invited the two officers inside. And that's when police say Andrews opened fire. The officers were able to return fire, striking Andrews. Reed remains in the hospital in critical condition. However, police say he is stable. Andrews is also still at the hospital and has not been taken to jail for booking just yet. But there is Officer Tamang, and we are awaiting details on funeral services and a memorial for this young officer, only on the force, we understand, just over a year. So it's a story that we're paying very close attention to and will continue to follow here, both on Fox Local and on Fox 5 Atlanta. Now to another big story that we're following this afternoon, and that is the drama surrounding the investigation into possible election irregularities in the 2020 election, the presidential election that President Trump has long disputed. A Republican state senator, actually several of them, introducing a resolution requiring Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to cooperate with federal authorities, giving the Justice Department election records that they have been asking for. Let's get to our state House beat reporter, if you will, Deidre Dukes, who's following the very latest on what these representatives are proposing. Deidre?
That's right. A lot of news here under the Gold Dome at the state capitol here today in regards to election integrity. It still is really taking center stage here following last week's FBI raid there at the elections hub in Fulton County, that election hub and operations center. We heard a lot from Republicans and Democrats last week here at the state capitol. Republicans, of course, that we talked to saying that they welcomed that raid, that Georgians still had a lot of questions regarding the 2020 election, the documents that were seized, hundreds of boxes seized in relation to the 2020 presidential race. Of course, Democrats on the other end of things questioning why this was done, blasting the DOJ, FBI for taking this action. We heard again today from Democrats, this time some Democratic representatives who are still questioning why this action and why now. Here's what they had to say.
Why the government took the extraordinary action of getting a search warrant and coming to the elections hub and essentially treating it like a trap house. That, in my opinion, is extraordinary.
And also today, as you mentioned off the top there, Tom, we also heard a lot of back and forth today, a lot of debate and a vote about a state resolution that was sponsored by Republican State Senator Randy Robertson. Now, he is calling for Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to honor the DOJ's request to turn over a lot of information in regards to Georgia voters, to turn over the Georgia voter registration list, something that Raffensperger has gone on record saying does not comply with state law, which is why he has said repeatedly that he has turned over everything that he is required to do legally under state law. So we heard from Robertson, also from a senator Senate Democrat, and also from the Secretary of State today. Here's what they had to say.
All I'm asking him to do is just fully cooperate with the DOJ, sit down with them.
We are already in a place where people in Georgia have a lot of questions about the safety and security of our elections. If we hand over additional data, people will only get more fearful.
State law does not allow us to do that. But if the General Assembly wants to do that, I don't think they'd have the support of the voters, but if they want to do that, that's on them. But to ask us to violate state law in a resolution, I don't think it's appropriate. And also, I will not violate state law.
Now, after much debate there in the Senate chamber, the Senate resolution did pass along party lines, with Democrats voting against it. So a very busy day, Tom, in regards to election integrity here at the state capitol, and we'll continue to follow this throughout the day, and we'll have an update and hear more from Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger on Fox 5 News starting at 4 o'clock.
Deidre, perhaps there is some talk around the State House there about how these proposals and the opinions of the lawmakers, the state lawmakers that you spoke to, and frankly the Secretary of State for that matter, coincide with the raid that we saw unfolding here last week among FBI agents who went into the Fulton County election sort of main office there to take away evidence in the federal investigation into all of this.
Well, the Secretary of State's office not speaking directly as to the raid itself, because they said they are still, like a lot of other agencies in government entities, saying that they are still trying to gather information themselves, trying to determine what exactly, how this impacts them, because as they said, this is a Fulton County issue, as it were. At the same time, the Secretary of State's office is reiterating that the elections here in Georgia are secure, that there have been countless, opportunities and instances where the 2020 election has been investigated, and in each occasion it has been found that things were done above board, and that the election did go to President Biden in that instance. And so this is one of those situations where we continue to, really go over the 2020 election over and over again. But as far as Democrats and the Secretary of State's office is concerned, the 2020 election was fair and secure, and they're ready to move on.
So is what happened today and what is going to happen moving forward among these Republican state senators, this resolution that's being introduced, I guess it puts law behind requiring the Secretary of State to cooperate with the Department of Justice, or is it just to compel the Secretary of State to cooperate?
That's a great question, Tom. Actually, it's to compel. There is no law, no bill in regards to the resolution. It's simply urging the Secretary of State to comply with the DOJ's request. And of course, this also is in the courts, this back and forth with the DOJ and the Secretary of State's office as to what the Secretary of State must turn over to the DOJ. And so while it's playing out, continues to play out in court, as far as today's action, it certainly is not a bill at this point where they're trying to pass a law.
It's just fascinating to see all of this unfold, especially as you describe it from what's happening inside the State House under the Gold Dome, how our state lawmakers are responding and reacting not only to the Department of Justice interest in what happened in 2020, but the FBI raid, the Secretary of State's reaction to all this. Of course, you have in the annals of history now Fani Willis's involvement in bringing charges against not only the President of the United States, but a lot of those in his orbit. And it's just a story that continues to develop and unfold as we sort of move along here into the new year. And it'll be interesting to see what comes out of all of this as the days, the weeks, and the months unfold, especially as we kind of make our way toward the 2026 midterm elections. Deidre Dukes live for us at the State House this afternoon. Deidre, thanks. We are, speaking of compelling, getting some very, very interesting video this afternoon from the Coweta County Sheriff's Office. They released dash cam video of a chase last Thursday of some folks, suspected of drug running. 2 people under arrest this afternoon. And I want to get out to our Doug Evans, who's so good at getting his hands on this video and sharing it with us. Doug?
Yeah, good afternoon, Tom. One of these 2 men that was in this car that the Coweta County Sheriff's deputies were chasing, they say he was armed with what was essentially a machine gun. It was a pistol that had been converted to automatic fire. During this chase, one of them tossed that gun from the car. They would later find that it had been converted illegally. Say they also found 20 pounds of marijuana in the car. This happened last Thursday night in Coweta County on Interstate 85. A deputy was going to pull over this sedan. At first, the car just kind of, acted like it was going to pull over, but then hit the gas and sped away. You can hear the engine roaring in the deputy's car as he catches up to it. 2 men inside from Eufaula, Alabama. And around the 27-mile marker on Interstate 85, the deputy, fearing that they were endangering the public, put an end to it with the pit maneuver, something we've seen quite a bit out of the Coweta County Sheriff's Office over the past few years. The car spun off safely into the grass along the shoulder. The deputies then took 2 people into custody. They're 27-year-old Gregory Terrell McCrae. Now, he's the driver. Also, 27-year-old Desmond Nike Mitchell, both from Eufaula, Alabama. So they're both charged with trafficking in drugs, that 20 pounds of marijuana. Mitchell is facing also a very serious weapons charge. He's facing possession of a machine gun. That's that pistol that they say they threw out of the car. So those 2 guys currently being held, Tom, in the Coweta County Jail without bond. The driver, McCrae, also charged with felony fleeing and attempting to elude.
I love watching the dash cam video and how methodical, Doug, and we've put it full on the screen now, Coweta County Police are, the Sheriff's Department out there at tracking these vehicles. I mean, they kind of stalk them along the freeway, if you will, for a while before they're ready to, and we're seeing the maneuver right about now, the pit maneuver to bring that car off the roadway and to be able to apprehend the folks inside. But talk, if you will, while we have this video full, about this kind of operation. It's something that they train so much for to be able to do, and it just looks like it was so effortlessly done in this case.
Yeah, the deputy, his name is Will Faulkner. He has been on the Coweta County force for a number of years. Before that time, he was in Grantville, an officer with the Grantville Police Department for a number of years as well. So this is a guy that has worked the interstate for many, many years. He's a canine officer. His canine is, in fact, one that we have featured many times here on Fox 5. A few years ago, his canine was shot during after a high-speed chase. The car came to rest. A man got out with a gun. Officers drew their guns. This deputy's dog ran forward and jumped on the guy, and in the meantime was shot. He has since recovered, and we featured an arrest that he made, and that was the video, Tom, you'll remember a few weeks ago that we had, where the deputy is putting his dog under the fence. The guy climbs over the fence, the deputy puts his dog under the fence.
I do remember that.
This is the same guy with the same dog, and as this chase is unfolding, you can hear the dog in the background whining a little bit. He's ready to go to work if necessary. Didn't need to deploy it in this case.
Well, the video that you're showing us this afternoon is just textbook stuff in their efforts to apprehend suspects like this. We're glad the dog there was on hand, ready to go into action if necessary. But just a great example of the hard work these sheriff's deputies do in apprehending the suspects, and in this case anyway, the effortless nature of how all of this seemed to unfold. Doug Evans live for us with the extraordinary video this afternoon and the apprehension of those two drug suspects. Doug, thanks so much. We're following developments this afternoon in the Epstein case. And I don't know if you've been following this on social media at all, but my social media feed lit up this morning with some people implicated in this. It's so hard in this Epstein investigation to attach people to Epstein, because there's a huge difference between meeting somebody, having your picture taken with them, or even doing some kind of business with them, and then being implicated in the grossly illegal and nefarious activities that Jeffrey Epstein was involved in. So there's just so much here, and now you can understand why federal authorities, I mean, the Biden administration had these documents, this evidence. They had been sitting on it for years. The Trump administration, faced with the same challenge as to how to responsibly release the information that the public had been so longing for. And so we got another massive dump of documents. The Justice Department playing down the chances for charges for anyone involved in this latest round of Epstein files. The massive document dump focusing fresh attention on the financier's links to powerful individuals around the world. It's also brought back questions about what, if any, knowledge these contacts had about Epstein's crimes, something I talked about in the lead up to this story this afternoon. The fallout continuing after the latest release of these documents. The Deputy Attorney General talked about the potential of more charges coming against possible co-conspirators. Lawmakers say that is not enough. The Justice Department has recently released more than 3 million pages of materials related to the disgraced convicted sex offender. The files reveal more of Epstein's communications with some prominent public figures, both here in the United States and abroad, even after served time for sex crimes. So this is a story that's clearly not going away, with yet more materials, more documents, and more photos set to be released. When we come back, we're going to check in with meteorologist Alex Forbes about our weather. Finally, just not much to talk about, and we could use that. However, we're going to find out if the cold temperatures this week are going to let up at all, and if we could see little tastes of spring out there when we come back. back, everybody. Thanks so much for streaming with us here on a Monday afternoon on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haynes with meteorologist Alex Forbes. For a second, I didn't know what time of day it was because we've been here, you, of course, more than me, at so many times during the day over the past 3 or 4 days, and then the weekend before with an ice storm that rolled through here. Finally, you know, today on this Monday and the start of the work week, Alex, we're starting to feel like things have settled down and we're kind of enjoying some nice weather out there.
You know, I deleted about 45 graphics out of my show this morning, and I don't want to pull them back in again this year. The snow totals, the ice totals, and then I drug in some groundhogs. So, obviously, today being Groundhog Day, I check in with the rodents and see what, for some reason, why we do this, they think is going to happen over the next 6 weeks. General Beauregard Lee says 6 more weeks of winter. His counterpart, his colleague, one might say, Punxsutawney Phil, says 6 more weeks of winter.
One of them didn't see their shadow, I think.
That would be this one. Well, there you go.
All right, Yona.
Yeah. So for what it's worth, I agree with General Lee and Punxsutawney Phil, even though I think they're better served on the
Why?
grill.
Are you seeing like a pattern of kind of wintry cold weather that we're stuck in?
I'm seeing not necessarily what we just did, but I don't see us getting out of a February type of pattern, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I generally speaking, we'll say below average for the month of February. That means highs low to mid 50s.
Okay.
Whereas an early spring to me would be mid 60s through the month of February, and that doesn't look like what we have here. But in actuality, when we're looking at the calendar, according to the astronomers, we are about 46 days away from spring. That gets started on March 20th and going to take on into summertime.
That's only like a month and a half. That's 6 weeks away.
Yeah, that's why today's Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Is it 6 more weeks of winter or is it an early spring?
Oh, true.
Yeah.
All right, let me put all that together.
Right. The light bulb just went off over Tom's head.
Right, exactly.
So
that happens quite often.
49 in Atlanta right now, 45 in Canton, 44 in Gainesville, 40 in Blairsville, 48 in Athens, and 52 over in Milledgeville. But even at this hour, we're still hanging on to a wind chill in a handful of spots. Worth noting, right, in several spots, it's only in the mid to upper 30s right now. We have Habersham County schools already closed for tomorrow. So I expect we're going to see more of that from some of our northeast districts here through the course of the evening hours. Speaking of which, as those come in, temperatures will be falling from the 40s down into the 30s under clear skies, headed for an overnight low temperature of 30 here in Atlanta, but 20s as soon as you get outside of 285, 26 in Canton, 27 in Gainesville, 26 in Athens tonight, and in Eatonton. That, Tom, is what you call the urban heat island effect. Unfortunately, that doesn't have any impact on the rain chance that we're going to have. This is going to be tomorrow. So waking up to some more cloud cover through the day tomorrow, and then that shower activity really begins to push into northwest Georgia right around rush hour, getting into the metro area after rush hour. It looks like nothing crazy. 1/3 of an inch to a 1/2 inch of rain. We need the rain, so we'll take it where we can get it. By the time we get to Wednesday morning, we'll be left with just a couple remnant showers. I don't think the morning commute will be totally dry, but it will be cloudy. And if you're up in Rome, Bartow County, Gordon County, that rain will be long gone. You're not going to necessarily be looking at that for Wednesday morning. The rain will be gone for all of us by the time we get to Wednesday afternoon. Now, I think we've lost sight of this really over the past month or so, just because we've had so much to talk about. A large part of the area, with the exception of western Georgia, is still in moderate drought, including metro Atlanta. But look off towards Athens, Jackson County, Barrow County, Lake Hartwell. You're in severe drought up there. Likewise, Blairsville over to Dalton and LaGrange over to Thomaston. And we've seen this pocket of extreme drought develop now in parts of Elbert County, Oglethorpe County, Madison County. It's a little bullseye right there. And even though it seems like we've had a decent amount of precipitation, the wintry weather really doesn't add up to a whole lot. In fact, this last snow event, we had what you call a 20-to-1 ratio, which means for every 20 inches of rain, it's just 1 inch of snow. So it's a very dry snow is what we saw, and it doesn't amount to a lot of liquids. So we need the rain. We're going to have the opportunity to pick it up late in the day tomorrow. You see those rain chances going up 6, 9 o'clock. Up to 70% there by 9 o'clock. But look at those afternoon temperatures getting into the upper 50s across the metro area. We will cool back down for Thursday after that front slides on through, but it's been a while since we've seen 60s, and that's what I've got on the docket for Sunday and for Monday. So after a tornado, our first snow event down on the south side, Jasper, Putnam, Henry counties, an ice storm, and then our second snow event, that's 4 weekends right there. We finally have a calm, somewhat warm weekend for the first full one of February.
We'll take it. As for the folks up in the Northeast who got so much ice and snow. Is all of that kind of dripped away and with the sunshine outside?
With the sun, yes, but in the spots where the sun doesn't hit, not so much, right? So if you're still looking at shady areas, right, sidewalks, even secondary roads with a lot of trees over them, there is still snow and ice on the ground. In fact, I saw a picture from Eatonton that was taken at like noon today with still a glaze of ice there. So as we look into tomorrow morning, we're talking about those school closings and things like that.
Why are the schools closed tomorrow morning? In Habersham?
Habersham County. So it's up there in far northeast Georgia. One of the spots that got 7 to 8 inches of snow.
So they can't get around very well.
Right. And it's those secondary roads that are the problem. So look, if you have a road that's already clear, that's going to stay clear. You're not going to see new ice develop anywhere. But if you have those spots still out there, you're probably still going to have issues tomorrow morning. But I think we put those to bed really Tuesday night with rain falling and Wednesday morning with temperatures above freezing.
All right, so heads up in Habersham County. Schools closed yet again tomorrow because of the ice left on the roadway. One more question before I let you go, Alex. If we have 6 more weeks until spring, are you seeing in your crystal ball or your almanacs or whatever you guys look at more opportunities for winter weather to roll through here?
Well, I'm no groundhog, but I wouldn't pinpoint anything in particular necessarily. I would say that the pattern doesn't necessarily go away, right? It's not like we're turning off winter, but there's nothing jumping out at me. You know, you think about the ice storm. We went in pretty hot and heavy with that 6 days out because that signal had been there for really about 2 weeks and it never went away. There's certainly nothing like that on the horizon. Likewise, there was only a little bit of a signal with this snow event early on. There's just nothing of that variety, at least as of now.
Okay, that's good news. So we'll keep the air mattresses here on standby, but we won't kind of put them away for the season quite yet.
One thing I definitely wouldn't put away is your winter coat. We are going to be plenty cold, I think, into the first part of spring.
All right, Alex, thanks. I want to continue here and talk about the partial government shutdown that we're in the middle of right now. No signs of it ending anytime soon. Lawmakers are still trying to hash out what to do to get that partial part of the government reopened. Doesn't seem as serious or significant as the last time around that this happened. House Democrats refusing to back the deal negotiated in the Senate last week to pass new spending bills, but the earliest Congress can find a way out of this situation at this point is tomorrow. That assumes that Republicans in the House can close ranks and get across the finish line. House Speaker Mike Johnson has said in comments this morning when I was watching some of the early morning news programs that he is optimistic that something can be done on his side of the aisle, so to speak. Remember, he's only got 1 seat now of a majority in Congress. So your House Speaker, and you have a margin of 1 vote on your side. All right, talk about the need to be bipartisan more now than ever, but to give them credit, lawmakers on both sides are trying to do just that. We don't want an extended shutdown, and neither do congressional lawmakers. So will this funding of the Department of Homeland Security, which seems to be the big sticking point in all of this, get in the way of the government reopening? Of course, it's a situation that we'll continue to watch. We have live cameras fixated at all times. If we could take Net 21 really quick for a second, just to show you kind of what's going on the floor of Congress right now. These shots are always up. This looks like the United States Senate, where work is being done on keeping the government open. So things are happening. The wheels are spinning in our government. The question is, will it yield results in order to end this partial temporary shutdown? As I promised, we have live cameras all the time on Capitol Hill, on the White House, and so it's something that we're continually watching here on Fox Local. The detainment, rather, I should say, of a 5-year-old boy by ICE officers outside his home back on January the 20th outraged critics of the Trump administration's efforts up there. Over the weekend, the boy and his father were returned home following a judge's order. Government officials say that the father entered the U.S. illegally back in 2024. Their family attorney says that he has a pending asylum claim, which allows him to stay here while his process is being adjudicated. The Department of Homeland Security originally said that the pair from Ecuador was here out of their process, but there was nationwide outrage at the detainment of that boy. The Department of Homeland Security, for its part, is telling a different story. Officials allege that the boy's father fled on foot, leaving that child in a running car in their driveway, so they had no choice but to take custody of that young boy. The mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie is missing in Arizona, and now the search is on to find her. Savannah Guthrie is the high-profile host of the long-running Today Show. The 84-year-old named Nancy Guthrie was last seen at her Catalina Foothills home near Tucson on the evening of January the 31st. So just a couple of nights ago, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos said during a news conference that concerning circumstances were found, which has led to homicide detectives investigating the case. In an update today, the sheriff said that there is evidence of a crime. Listen.
We saw some things at the home that were concerning to us. We believe now, after we processed that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime. This is a 84-year-old lady who suffers from some physical ailments, has some physical challenges, is in need of medication that if she doesn't have in 24 hours, it could be fatal. She is very limited in her mobility, right? We know she didn't just walk out of there. That we know. There are other things at the scene that indicate there was she did not leave on her own. We know that.
Savannah Guthrie releasing a statement saying, quote, "On behalf of our family, I want to thank everybody for the thoughts, prayers, and messages of support. Right now, our focus remains on the safe return of our dear mom. We thank law enforcement for their hard work on this case." You can imagine the angst and the heartache that Savannah Guthrie and her family are going through. We'll continue to follow that story here on Fox Local as well. When we come back here, an update on the Tara Baker trial. That was the cold case of a law student who was murdered. That trial is now underway. And we're going to head out to California live for you for an update on Super Bowl activities there. It is this Sunday, and we're going to get a preview as we continue. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haynes with you here live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom, bringing you up to date on everything that is happening today, and there is a lot going on. One thing that's going on this weekend, no doubt you've heard, is the Super Bowl. It's the Seahawks and the Patriots in this Sunday's Super Bowl matchup out in California. Tonight is called opening night, all right? This is where the players and the coaches all get together. They talk to the media about what's going to happen this Sunday, and we're lucky enough to have Fox reporter Crystal Bailey out there for us live. Crystal, good afternoon to you. How's it going out there? I can imagine you're already starting to feel the excitement.
Yeah, Tom, it is very exciting. There's a lot of buzz out here. We're in what's called the media room, used to be known as Radio Row, but you can see media's changed. There's podcasters, there's TV stations from every side of the country out here. And what's really cool is up at the top, there are banners for every previous Super Bowl. So San Francisco is super excited. You can see there are already tons of people out here. The fan experience, as you mentioned, begins over the night, tonight and tomorrow, where the fan experience opens up. Folks can play kick field goals, and play interactive games with some of the NFL experience that they purchase. But what's really cool too today is that we get the sneak peek. So earlier today, we went down there, we checked it out. There's still cranes down underground where they're still building some of these sets. So it's super exciting for obviously the NFL fans, and I can guarantee you there will be people from both the East Coast and the West Coast as they gear up for the big game over the week. So the fan experience opens tomorrow, and then already the media has started doing live podcasts and live streaming, and I'm sure they're going to have a lot of big NFL names that they'll be interviewing here throughout the week as well.
Yeah, Crystal, I want to pick up on something you just talked about there, and that is, now you got podcasters, you got streamers, you got YouTubers. It's not only the big networks that are out there for Media Day, but all kinds of media platforms there representing themselves and kind of walking around the venue there. What have you seen, and where are these people coming from?
I will tell you, I've seen people from every single part of the country, small podcasters, large podcasters, internet shows. I think we're looking over here at the Bleacher Report. They said this is the first time that they've purchased a stage, because usually they have a small booth. Now they have this interactive social media setup where they said they're going to interview some of the big names, but also just do social streaming and have a ton of activities that are there on the set. So it's a pretty big experience for, obviously, this is the big game. Everybody comes out for the big game. But also, Bad Bunny and all the things surrounding Bad Bunny and all the things surrounding the political atmosphere right now. This is a big game. Bigger game than maybe what usually might happen. So we're really excited here in San Francisco. We've hosted before, Super Bowl 50 not too long ago. So the city of San Francisco is buzzing. People are out here. Traffic is, stopped. And I think there's going to be a lot of people out here starting tomorrow.
It's incredible. Just looking behind you, you showed us the stage out there. And in thinking about kind of what we do here on Fox Local, and that is provide news and information seemingly 24 hours a day. Even though we're not on the air on our broadcast channel, we are streaming for our viewers here on our streaming platform. You're seeing the same exact thing behind you, making an event like this so much more accessible to so many people, not only on game night, but in the days leading up to the big game. So it really is something cool to see. Crystal Bailey live for us down at the Monday night experience, where at any moment now in the next couple of hours, you're going to see those players and coaches roll in there to talk to all kinds of media gathered there behind you. Crystal, thanks so much. We want to shift gears now, talk about something a little more serious here. Opening statements beginning in the case against Edric Faust. All right, this is the case that I talked about earlier, the cold case. He was arrested back in 23 in connection with the death of Tara Baker. If that name sounds familiar, she was a first-year law student whose killing remained unsolved for more than 2 decades. And so now this trial is set to get underway. Baker, who was 23 years old, was found dead inside her burned apartment off Fawn Drive on January the 19th back in 2001. So now this trial that a lot of people have been waiting for is set to get underway. She was found murdered, by the way, only one day before her 24th birthday. Investigators later determined that the fire that was set had been intentionally set and ruled her death as a homicide. That is Edric Faust there. According to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Baker was last seen by a friend outside a library about 7:30 the night before her body was discovered. That friend later receiving a phone call from Baker, who said she'd planned to leave the library about 10 p.m. Authorities saying that the call was the last time anybody had heard from her. No arrest had been made for years until Faust was taken into custody just 3 years ago. So that trial is now set to get underway, something we will be certainly following here for you. Let's talk about what's happening with Iran. The pressure is on Iran after some remarks by President Trump that he has an armada of Navy vessels staged in that area. Iran has been not behaving very well, if you will, with protest demonstrations happening inside that country, many deaths reported, and the President of the United States says that his fuse is running short and is open to talks with the Iranian regime. But that military fleet, armada as the White House is calling it, is continuing to intensify. The president sending a clear message to leaders of Iran to end its nuclear program and stop the deadly crackdown on those protesters that I mentioned, or the U.S. will strike. Iran's supreme leader warning Sunday, however, just yesterday, that any U.S. military action will spark a wider war across the region. Just how able Iran is to defend itself against the United States remains to be seen. This is creating some concern that Iran might strike NATO allies if the U.S. attacks. So this is a situation where, you know, the U.S. has its intentions to quell the violence inside Iran, but there are some major geopolitical implications in doing so. We have our Middle East allies in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia, in the UAE that are ostensibly on our side no matter what. But they have a delicate dance to walk too as it pertains to Iran. You have Israel, which has long been in the crosshairs of Iran, who is concerned about implications of a U.S. strike inside that country. And then, of course, as I mentioned, you have NATO, which is concerned about the ramifications and the fallout of a U.S. strike inside Iran. Now, we already took out their nuclear capabilities, or a huge part of it. It'll be yet to be seen what's going to happen next in terms of how we move forward with Iran, whether it's negotiations, talks, regime change, military action to stop the harmful actions it is taking against people inside of its own country who simply want to get out there and demonstrate for regime change and democratic government. So we'll continue to follow the situation between the United States and Iran, and if talks indeed do eventually happen. When we continue, we talked about the groundhog. It did see itself today, at least two of them did, but there's another story playing out in our neck of the woods with Chris Rosenthal, and we're going to check in with Chris. This is an interesting one you're not going to want to miss. Welcome back, everybody. Our minds are on spring. We waited to see if Punxsutawney Phil would see his shadow. He did. Beauregard Lee also seeing his shadow this morning, which means 6 more weeks of winter. Whether or not that will play out is another story, but let's get out to Chris Rosenthal. Chris is in Ellijay for us this afternoon. We're waiting for Hibernation Hank to awake, and I believe the last time we checked in with you, he was sound asleep and snoring. So what's the situation now?
Oh yeah, well he awoke and he came out a little while ago, and actually I think we have some video. Let's just go straight to it and just take a look at that. Let's listen in.
Wake up, hey! Wake up, hey!
And that's Hibernation Hank there. He's the bear here, been sleeping in a barrel all winter. A new tradition here, 2nd year running here at the House of Applejay in East Ellijay. This Hibernation Hank. Let me show you the barrel first of all here. This is just the barrel he was in. And that's where he was a little earlier today. He was snoring, but I'm joined by Hibernation Hank and Caroline here with the House of Applejay. So first of all, you feeling a little groggy now that you've woken up after sleeping all winter?
No, I'm ready for some extra cocktails and a good season for summertime.
So did you see your shadow or not? I mean, did you get the same report, the weather report, as the groundhogs?
You know, all I'm worried about is that we have an early cocktail season here at the House of Applejay and enjoy ourselves in northern Georgia mountains.
Awesome. And he does have a very cool costume here, by the way. So Caroline here with the House of Applejay. Tell me, how did this idea get started?
Well, it's very simple because I read sometime that the original weather law was for all hibernating animals. And I thought, well, the groundhog is nice, but we got bears in the Ellijays, so we have to have a bear. And that's how it all started. We love bears, and our logo is a bear, so we started just Hibernation Hank.
And, you know, it's one big party, that you have here now. It's a new tradition.
Yes, it's a new tradition, and the real fun is, I think every February 2nd, we all want to have a break from winter, and in the ending, we're in the south. Whatever Phil up there in the north says, it may be true for the north, but we're in the south. Look at this weather, it's awesome. So even if it's 6 more weeks of winter, it will be southern winter.
Yeah, and even though it's a Monday and it's cold, there was quite a big turnout for this, huh?
Yes, it was. I haven't counted how many, but it was really a great turnout. And thanks to everyone from the Ellijays. Thank you very much for supporting us, and Hibernation Hank.
And it's going to be an early cocktail season, you say? Huh?
Yes, we call it an early cocktail season because it was so sunny. I actually said I jumped into his shadow and tried to avoid he sees his shadow, but, well, it's sunny. What can we say?
Well, hopefully the cold days are behind us, and you know, you can don his special outfit here, Tom.
You know, call me gullible, but I thought there was a real bear in there, okay? And I know I not only speak for myself, but I speak of the thousands, and I'm looking at how many people are watching us right now, and it's thousands and thousands and thousands of people thought there was a bear inside there.
Yeah, no, not a real bear, So no bears were harmed in the making of this event here.
How many people did they get out there, Chris?
Oh gosh, I would say, you know, I didn't get a count, but how many people would you say you had out here? Maybe, probably close to 100?
Yeah, I would say 100 to 120 maybe.
Yeah, I mean, quite a new tradition, I would say, up here in East Ellijay. You know, especially for Monday, really good turnout for a Monday.
Yes, and especially after a snowstorm. So a lot of the tourists left because of the snowstorm. So thank you everyone who came out today. Really, we think it's awesome.
Absolutely, yeah. They have music, food, all the cocktails, all that good stuff. So yeah, everybody here really had a good time.
I love Caroline's accent. Where is she? Can you ask her where she's from?
Absolutely, yeah. But my anchor, he wanted to ask where you're from. He loves your accent.
I'm from Germany originally.
I thought so.
My family's from North Germany, but I grew up in Düsseldorf. But I'm since 15 years in the U.S. So.
Yeah, so there you go.
What, not that I'm nosing into her business, but what brought her from Germany or her family to Atlanta, or LJ in this case?
So you've been here for this time. What brought you here? What brought you here to LJ?
To the LJs, believe it or not, I was invited to a costume party. I was searching for a place for my distillery for a long time, and it was really difficult to find the perfect spot. And we came as 3 gruesome Vikings about 5 years ago to the LJs, and my mom we really looked awful. We had fake fur, fake blood, axes, and my mom in the backseat was always muttering, "I hope the police doesn't pull us over. I hope the police doesn't pull us over." And then, so we actually came here, and I took a look and said, "Mom, I think this is perfect." So that's how we got here.
And perfect place to start your business, huh?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you definitely have a very creative flair. I can tell you, just spending the day here, there's a creativity in everything that's here, as we can tell, obviously, by Hibernation Hank, too.
Yeah, and continuing the family tradition of costuming. As we can see on her right there with Hibernation Hank. Good stuff out there in LJ. Chris and Caroline and Hibernation Hank, guys, thanks so much. We've been telling you about the monks that are making their journey from Texas all the way up to Washington, D.C. I understand, and it's a story that a lot of people have been paying attention to, that they have arrived. I want to take some live pictures of Richmond, Virginia, and they're speaking. I don't know if we can dip in real quick and just listen to what they're saying.
Into it, we will go back to our old days. And we are coming out here because of peace, is that right? Yes. And we willing to chance to have a better life, is that right? Right. And we have 11 months left with this year of 2026. How many of us willing to chance this year to be a better year? Not just 1 year, okay? We need to utilize every single year, but this year will be the first year for us to practice. Otherwise, we will continue to suffer, because we are very easy to be triggered by the others. So many things. With just one word that can pull you off track right away. Because we always sidetrack. We are very easy to be sidetracked. Anybody say something or do something or give you a bad look, you react right away, right? If we are standing there right now, if somebody behind pushes us, we probably react right away. That is the nature of the human being, the mind. That is the nature of our mind, is untrained. When it's untrained, it's like that. But when it's well-trained, it's totally different. And in order for us to train our mind, we have to do this. Pay attention to our breath within this nostril. Okay? This breath has been with us for so long, but we didn't pay attention to it. We just breathe in and breathe out just like a robot to survive. And now we need to add awareness into that breath. Awareness, which is...
You're listening live to a spokesperson for these Buddhist monks on their 2,300-mile journey, their walk of peace, so to speak, making it to Richmond, Virginia, where you're watching live them speaking. They began in Texas back in October, and they've been making their trek through some very, very treacherous conditions, some of which they experienced right here in the metro Atlanta area. Where thousands of our own folks here in our neck of the woods came out to see them. on this journey. So interesting. We'll continue to follow them as they make it to Washington, D.C., which isn't far away. Thanks so much for streaming with us here, the 3 p.m. hour. I'm Tom Haines. The news continues right here, right now.